All right, Monday night Krug show. Dieter is in the house. We got a lot to get to. The draft is approaching. The NFL owners meetings have provided lots and lots of scuttle. Matt Miller has a 7-round mock draft, which piques my interest. Dieter is here. He does his own draft guide, for crying out loud.
Yep.
Let's freaking go. All right, off and running on the Krug Show Monday night. Hope everybody's having a great one. We're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle. The best barbecue in all of Northern California is Pig and a Pickle. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. For those of you who have been asking, and a few people have the last couple of days, when is Pig and a Pickle's third location opening? I did reach out to Damon. He says, yes, they are still working through some details and, dotting all the I's and crossing all the T's and doing all the things you got to do civically to get your restaurant up and running. So they are opening in 2026 in Petaluma. We don't have a date yet. When we do, we will shoot it all to you guys. But thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Also, thanks to Novato Chevrolet. The only place I will buy a Chevrolet is Novato Chevrolet. Go see David Corral. He's a great sales guy. It's a fantastic dealership, family-owned, really, really good. Also, thank you to Alomar Marina, alomarmarina.net on the web. It's a great place to float and dine. 5999 Garden Highway. They're open Wednesday through Sunday. Go have the shrimp tacos and float while you dine on the Sacramento River. We appreciate them. And, of course, thanks to Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles. The great Anthony Catania is down there in Pacific Grove, and we'll talk more about all of our sponsors in a bit. All right. But first, we're off and running because the Niners had, unbelievably, right here in the middle of the offseason, in a 24-hour period, we heard from Jed, we heard from John, and we heard from Kyle. Basically, the three-headed brain trust of the 49ers, and these guys all spoke today or yesterday, and Kyle in Lynch's case. Why don't we start with Lynch? He had a number of interesting things. Basically, just to summarize Lynch, and you tell me what you took away from it. But Joey Bosa, he says, we love him. Mama Bosa wants him here. I don't know if we can afford him. In other words, sounds like they can't. Trent Williams talks have intensified over the past week. They're on the precipice of something good. Sounds like an extension. John Lynch says that Renardo Green trade talks are false. He's not going anywhere. That Raheem Mostert is excited to work with Green. So Green is not going anywhere.
Raheem Morris, to be fair. Yes.
What's that?
We've run through many Raheems. Raheem Mostert is still a free agent, right. I believe.
Raheem Morris. Did I say Mostert?
Yeah. But to be fair, I do believe Raheem Mostert would make a good coach down the line.
I'm doing that more and more. I'm saying one word and thinking another as time goes on.
We have too many Raheems in our life.
I know. It's draft.
The whole NBA is Jalen. The whole NFL is Raheem.
Oh, my God. Jalen and Jaden's. Lynch says he's hopeful George Kittle will be back for week 1. That seems unrealistic. He also said that Nick Bosa and Mikael Williams will both be back from the ACL tears by the opening of camp, though Williams tore his later.
Yeah.
So he may return later.
Mm-hmm.
Nick Martin's been fully cleared from concussion protocol, and he had been as soon as the season was over. Probably the most interesting aspect of what Lynch said, he said the Niners investigated the NFLPA report card story that gave them poor grades to their training staff. And it revealed that the players want more one-on-one rehabilitation attention. And so the Niners hired 3 full-time physical therapists and are investing $9 million in hydrotherapies, cold tubs, pools, etc., to try to better rehabilitate their players. Also, Lynch said that the substation was a big nothing burger. Didn't have a lot of specifics on it, but said it was a big nothing burger. Also said that center Brett Toth, or that Brett Toth's best spot, I should say, is at center. And he said that left guard is likely to be an open competition. Connor Colby, Robert Jones, Nick Zakel, Drake Nugent. And he also referenced that the Niners are likely to draft a left guard. He said not done there yet, which equates to they're likely drafting a left guard. So why don't we start with Lynch? That was a couple days ago. What did Lynch say, if anything, that piqued your interest or thought you found interesting?
The Kittle thing is interesting because it's nothing new. They've been saying it. We now are a little bit further along. We obviously have more information. We see how far he is in his recovery, and they're still maintaining that line. And they did nothing in the first part of this offseason, pre-draft, to address tight end, other than keeping a player that they really had no risk of losing in Jake Tonjes. So they are, as far as I can tell, very much operating on the premise as if George Kittle is going to be there in week 1. And I'm with you, Larry. Like, that doesn't feel like a great idea. You can't replace George Kittle, and you sure shouldn't try to do it with two different guys. That was my favorite suggestion after he went down last year. You're like, well, with Farrell and Tonjes, you can have George Kittle if Farrell can just block. And it's like, yes, but this isn't Canadian football. We're not Larry Krueger here. You don't get to have 12 men on the field. With Nick Sorensen rules do not apply. You have to play with 11, so you don't get two tight ends that do the job of one and then get to maintain all your other stuff. I'm pretty concerned about the tight end position, to be fair. And we know how important it is for a Kyle Shanahan offense. I don't expect, because George Kittle will be back at some point, be that week 1 in an ineffective manner, in all presumption, or down the line, probably still ineffective, probably ineffective all year, to be frank, going into 26. You're not going to totally change the offense to work around that, but you don't have the dogs to make this work as it stands. And a rookie tight end, as much as I like a couple guys in this class, and it's not a very good draft class from everything I've watched so far, but they're you can find good players in every position in a draft class. The rookie tight ends, like, that's the toughest position to be a rookie at in the NFL outside of maybe quarterback. Like, the rookie tight ends, they have to know all the offensive line stuff and all the passing game stuff. There's a reason there are very, very few good rookie tight ends kind of ever. So I'm concerned about that, and I'm concerned about the messaging about, like, oh, well, George will come back and kind of save us from ourselves. I don't think they've done enough to insulate themselves there. And then, of course, substation talk. I can't get enough of it. It's the funniest thing ever. And I just love how responding to a conspiracy theorist saying, here's this thing that's happening with no substantive data, and then they come back and say, oh, it's a big nothing burger or whatever. And then everyone goes, oh, they put it to bed. Well, no, because the conspiracy theorist is never operating with logic in the first place, so you can't fight him with logic. You have to outdumb him. And I'm not sure how the Niners do that. I'm not sure John Lynch is interested in doing that. But in a weird way, by coming out and saying, oh, well, there's nothing going on here, all you've done is now add fuel to the fire of nonsense that's there. And it's fantastic. I went on Amazon today and got myself an EMF reader. Very excited for rookie minicamp.
I mean, personally, I signed up to cover football. I'm not here to cover the substation. I really don't care about the substation.
It does explain us, though. We're out there a lot. We're clearly just worms in our brains. So maybe we should, consider class action lawsuit or something. I mean, let's see that data, John.
Every time I think of the substation, I think, what is Julia Roberts going to look like in this movie? Who is Julia Roberts going to play in the 49er substation movie? She's the receptionist that gets wronged or something.
There you go.
You got to do something.
Aaron Brockovich callback. Good one.
Exactly. The Aaron Brockovich movie. But I mean,
what stood out to you, Lair? What is burrowed in your brain like electromagnetic fields and you just can't get rid of?
Well, I think it shows that the Niners care about their players, that they responded to the NFLPA report card, which gave them good grades across the board, but poor grades in the training staff area and poor grades in a couple areas. And then they went and did their due diligence and talked to their players and asked them, you know what? Our training staff did not get high numbers. what would you guys like to see that you're not seeing? And they said, hey, the players wanted more one-on-one attention in their rehabilitation process, and the Niners hired a few more physical therapists, and then spent $10 million roughly on hydrotherapies, cold tubs, hot tubs, pools, etc. I
Yep.
guess they had a pool that they ripped out. No one was using it. Now they're bringing the pool back. But I like the commitment to to your players. I like
Totally.
that part of it. That part was good. I
Makes sense.
don't like the putting the substation thing to bed without something a little bit more concrete than they brought to the table.
Sure.
I kind of that always but as far as substantive football stuff, what did I take away? Maybe that Brett Toth is maybe going to be the replacement for Hennessy, and maybe Toth represents at least a better alternative to Brendel. I mean, I still think they're going with Brendel,
For sure.
but maybe Toth is an upgrade on Hennessy overall. And it sounded also like, they've got a plan at left guard, but like I get the sense like all these people who are doing a lot of mocks, and I'm one of them, guilty as any. There's a lot of people that are mocking, Miller from Clemson, Ian Archer, all these tackles to the Niners, and I don't even think they're even looking tackle. I think they like Trent, they like McKivitz, they like Pleasance. They just fortified their position in their mind by adding Lowe. I don't. I think they're gonna. I think they're much more likely to take a plug and play guard in round 2 than they are to take a tackle in round 1.
It's tricky though because it's a really good guard class, and maybe like Chase Besantis is there, or maybe even Pregnon because of his age is there. Those would be really good options. Those are also borderline first round caliber players, of course, because of the 5th-year option and the way that manifests with guards. It's bad practice. I mean, unless you really think you can win a Super Bowl in the next 3 years and you have a guard, which I just don't think you can get at 27, that can be all pro caliber in those first 3 years. And we just saw what happened with Tyler Linderbaum. Like, you can't pick up that 5th-year option because it's basically giving a guard tackle money. And if there's one team that will not do that, it's the San Francisco 49ers. So you have to take them in the second round if you're looking to plug and play. I agree that I don't think that they're looking for Trent Williams' replacement. They're certainly not looking, as folks who don't cover this team have alleged, like for an upgrade at right tackle. They feel very strongly about McKivitz. They gave him a contract last year that showed how strongly they feel about it, and was pretty good business by them and good business by McKivitz before the season started. But I don't think that they're out of the tackle game just because there are a number of tackles in this class in the first round that might project better to being guards. And Caden Proctor is a classic example of that, where you can play him at guard for a couple of years while Trent is still around and doing stuff. But when you need that left tackle of the future, you can bump him out. Easier said than done, to be sure. But there's a lot of tackles with maybe shorter arms in this class, but good footwork. There are also, the tackle prospects in this class, and there are a lot of them that are, borderline first round and such. The true tackle prospects in this class are all projects. Ian Archer is relatively new to football. The Georgia kid is really, really
Monroe Freeling.
Monroe Freeling, who is just a darling because he is wonderfully athletic. He doesn't know how to play tackle. Like, I don't know what everyone's watching in this idea that he's some sort of top 10 pick, but that's just one man's opinion.
Well, it's all based on it's traits. It's a traits projection. He from the people that the couple people that I know were in Indy, who I absolutely know, they know what they're watching.
Sure.
Who've been there for years and years and years, said that his testing was off the charts, but that his workout was equally poor. That was what I heard.
He's always, and his tape is bad. His tape is overtly bad.
He's only a 1-year starter.
Well, and then you even look back at the snaps that he took the years before that. There's a reason he was a one-year starter. You couldn't keep him on the field. They tried to start him. They wanted to play him. They couldn't because he was bad, and they had to play him this year. And the tape again, there are some moments where you see it and you're like, oh, this would all come together. He's a long-term project. He's a multiple-year redshirt, or you're just getting your ass kicked kind of project. But it doesn't really matter because he won't be on the board by the time the 49ers draft.
Well, the Niners pick in three real distinct areas, right? They pick in the first round 27-58, right? So they get 2 picks in the top 58. Then they have 4 picks in like a 10-pick span in the 4th round. And then there's
12.
no more picks until the draft is over. So, they should look at guys that are basically in the top 58 between 110 and 120, and then 260 down.
Yeah, and to be fair, I mean, in everything that I've deduced, and I'm interested to hear what John says before the draft, because he always gives us the number of guys that they deem draftable. We started stealing that practice too, and last year I would say it was $160 or so, and that was really down. I mean, year before that it was well over 200. I'm not sure there's even 130 draftable players in this class. And that's not to say that obviously more than that will get selected. But if you were to just sort of compare over a 3-4 year window levels of talent, this is a very weak draft class. And you're starting to see that in some of these mock drafts. And we're all in silly season. No one knows anything yet, even though the boards are pretty solid, especially early on right now. But everyone's just guessing, and then everyone's guessing off of guessing. It's inception of bad ideas. But you see that in a lot of these mock drafts with just projection plays moving up and up and up. And it's something that you and I have talked about a million times over. Like, NFL teams don't know what they're doing on the offensive line. They don't know what they're looking for on the offensive line. So they overdraft on this notion of maybe we get lucky, in the same way they overpay in free agency because they don't really know what they're looking for. They don't really know what they need. So they said this guy's good, so let's get in a bidding war for him, and maybe we can throw money at the problem. But in a weird way, if the Niners did, that could help the Niners in the sense of some of these tackle prospects that I do think could be good tackles in the NFL, but aren't the Monroe Freelings, where all of the numbers line up both in testing scores and in, size and all that, but, have some deficiencies here or there that don't make them look like true blue chips, but their tape does. Those guys can slide into guard. You can push him back out to tackle when push comes to shove, because there's no real replacing of Trent Williams. And there's certainly no Trent Williams caliber player in this draft where you just know he's coming in, he's ready to do this, he's made for this. The tape matches up with all the great testing scores. So in a weird way, it does feel like at 27, the draft might line up for the Niners, but at 58, things start to get really murky really fast. And in some ways, it feels like the Niners are going to have to get lucky, because they're going to be targeting impact players, as they should be at 27 and 58. And then 127, 133, 138, 139, if those are in fact the positions that hold, that's when you take your flyers and you hope that one of them turns out to be that kind of player that you can count on immediately, and everybody else you bet on upside, or you bet on the tape, over ranking the fact that they don't have good testing scores, all that. But for not a good draft, the Niners are both in a very fortunate position and in kind of an unfortunate position. Fortunate in that it does seem like the draft is going to help them out this year at 27. And unfortunate in that all the players that you can really count on might be off the board by 58.
It's funny. We all cover the Niners. I'm there as much as anybody, and I've probably covered them longer than almost everybody.
Sure.
But I don't consider myself an insider, because nobody gives me any inside information. I don't ask for any. Occasionally people have given me inside information, and if I share it, it seems like it brings me more headaches than anything else. But
I know that ball game.
Matt Mayoko, on the other hand,
yep,
I kind of think of him as kind of an insider.
Oh, for sure.
No.
Yeah, yeah. It was a very long home run by Jackson Merrill.
The Giants.
It's okay. Did you see Keaton Wynn pitching, though? Because he's going to be the guy who closes the 9th inning in a couple of weeks. He looks awesome in the bullpen.
Yeah, he looks good. Caleb Gillian looks good, too.
He does.
2-run home run, Jackson Merrill. Giants lead 3-2, 2 outs in the 9th. Yeah. Most likely still getting Tony Vitello's first win.
Huh?
But
They're keeping Walker in, so who the hell knows?
but we shall see.
Oh boy, he just
I
hung
think
that one.
it's like at the movie About Last Night. At this point, we don't know.
Right. Right.
At
Until
this,
that 27th out is recorded, nothing can be counted on with the San
was she a
Francisco
pro?
Giants.
At this point, we don't know. Okay. Anyway, you've got to go see the movie. It's a good
You were
movie.
talking about Mayoko being the ultimate insider,
Aiyuk's
which
the
I
ultimate
agree with.
insider, and he just tweeted out randomly the other day a simple singular sentence: the 49ers will not draft an offensive lineman until the 4th round.
Mm.
And they only have 2 picks in the first round, and until the 4th round. So it's
Right.
so what he's basically saying is they're not going to take an offensive lineman in the 1st or 2nd round.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's news to some, but I thought I that was not surprising to me. I think the 49ers are definitely going defense in the 1st round. I would say edge, tackle and edge and tackle. Could be a DB if it's the right guy, could be a linebacker if it's the right guy, but I still think it's going to be, if you said make me, wager on it, I will take defensive tackle and defensive end, probably in that order. And if I had to go with actual people, I would probably say Kristen Miller, Georgia, round 1.
Oh, wow.
And then I'll go with the Michigan defensive end, Moore,
Yeah.
in round 2. That's probably what I would wager on right now.
Okay.
But I guess I would ask you this. Do you think that the 49er draft right now consists of 6 picks?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it will, when it's all said and done, have a tackle in it? And if so, if you were wagering, who is the tackle that you're most... Tony Vitello gets his first win, ladies and gentlemen. 3-2 over the Padres. Who is the tackle that you would wager on? Because I think this is kind of interesting. I kind of agree with Mayoko that they're not going to go offensive line, and they may not go tackle at all. They may go guard,
right,
in the 4th round, which I kind of think they will. But what do you think? If the Niners are going to take a tackle, who's it going to be?
A couple good options. Keegan Trost feels very Ninersy. Feels like somebody that
top run blocking,
unbelievable
tackle.
Hole creator off of the right side. Really moves his feet well laterally. I think Trey Zune would be a wonderful option.
A&M converted
A&M.
tackle.
It's a good A&M class, Lair. You should be proud. It's best team money combined. With the price of oil, God knows what they're going to do in next year's transfer market. But I think Zune also has a lot of characteristics that that Chris Forster is really going to like. And what both of those guys can do is I think that they can cross play a little bit, but you can use them as a swing in a year, right? But with Zune, I think he could play center. I think he could play guard. There's some Joe Thuney in there, not to blaspheme, but there's a little something there, and he was just awesome. He was just awesome at A&M. It's tough. Like going for a guy like Emil Wagner, someone that you and I both have a lot of affection for in this draft class. Like, what's he going to do for you now? Nothing. You have a swing tackle. He's just replacing Austin Pleasance, which is that something you should be using a 4th round draft pick on? I mean, it's fair to argue yes, but when you look at the needs that this team has, it's a pretty tough sell to replace something that you have, borderline competence at already, when you have incompetence at starting positions. Like, you don't have a sub package pass rusher for 3rd downs right now. You don't have one. You're definitely going to need a little more depth at corner. You need more at linebacker. You just mentioned defensive tackle. You can always use more of those. Running back is still a position you need to add at. Tight end, 1, 2, or 3. Come on now. You need more tight ends on this team. And safety is anybody's guess, though I do think there is something to Raheem Morris maybe feeling those guys out for a little bit. And the market with that position being so generally soft and relatively unfair that they could get into a couple weeks of training camp and say, I don't like this. Let's go sign somebody off the street. Because there will be like legitimately starter caliber safeties just hanging out in early August, mid-August, just ready to get a job. So like a guy like Wagner, I think is going to be a starting caliber right tackle, if not left tackle, in this league. But the Niners do need to serve the here and now as well as the future. So a guy like Zune, a guy like Trost, if I'm just putting my Niners cap on, and I like both of these guys a lot too, so it fills both needs. But those are guys that I think Forrester's really going to be into. And again, they can maybe play in a pinch at a couple of spots in the here and now, which gives you a little more room to play with instead of, a guy like – instead of a lot of guys in this class who are clearly just tackle only, particularly once it gets later.
There's a bunch of different options, obviously, in the draft, and there always is. But I would say if I think one of those 4th round picks is probably where the Niners go offensive line.
Sure.
And to me, I'm intrigued by Markel Bell from Miami,
me too.
who's just one of the biggest offensive linemen I've ever seen, but he's also he's not Dawan Jones. He's got a little bit more like athleticism and knee bend and natural athleticism there.
Very good technician.
He's a there's a lot of concern. Can he handle NFL speed? Is he a guard? Is he Mekhi Becton? But Markel Bell's really intriguing. Isaiah World and J.C. Davis, I think are also really intriguing. And all 3 of those guys, I think, are probably going to be there in the 4th round. And
do you think Travis Burke from Memphis gets there?
Yeah, I do.
I don't know. There's some buzz on Travis Burke right now.
Well, I mean, when you say gets the 4th round,
yeah,
I do think he gets the 4th round.
That would be a great pick.
And they've looked at him. He's a gigantic player as well. What's his size? And
he's like 6'9". Yeah, he's Dieter sized. He's impressive.
He's a gigantic player. The player that I just absolutely love, the more I watch him, and to me, I think it's a very great guard deal. I mean,
for sure.
Ione from Penn State, I would take him at 27. Pregnon from Oregon, Basantis, Jennings Dunker, Keelan Rutledge. I like all those guys.
Yeah.
As plug and play guys. I really like Micah Morris from Georgia. I really like Jeremiah Wright from Auburn, who's just a natural athlete, and he's got great feet at 330 pounds.
Yeah.
Bo Stevens, I think, could be very intriguing to the Niners because he plays their system. But the guy that I just absolutely love when I watch him is Fabechi Wiwu from Oklahoma. And I know he's going to be there probably. Some mocks have him in the 3rd round. But I love this player. He won the Don Key Award. First of all, I've got great respect for this. This guy went from a walk-on. He's from Coppell, Texas, small town in Texas. He went from walk-on at North Texas to all SEC 2nd team.
Yeah.
That is a huge path. There's a lot of steps on that journey.
Yeah.
And I just have great respect for this guy. And he's really, really smart. Fabechi Wiwu. And he graduated with a degree in multidisciplinary studies. He's got working on his master's degree.
They're all working on their master's degree, Larry. It's the only way you can stay eligible.
He can play.
Plus, he's got so many disciplines that he can go into,
But, I mean, this guy also has 34.5-inch arms. And when they play that East-West, they needed a center because one of the centers didn't show up, and he slid over to center. He looks great at center.
He did.
I love this kid. I think he can play left guard, right guard, or center. The arm length is an added bonus because 34.5-inch arms on a 6'4" frame. If you have to play this guy at right tackle in a pinch, you've got longer arms than most tackles. So I love this kid, and I think he will be there in the 4th round.
Yeah.
And to me, this guy, you could start him right away at left guard, and I think within a year, if you brought in another guard, he could potentially slide in and be a replacement for Brendel.
I'll say this, though, at the left guard spot, which it's obvious it's going to be, win it out in camp because none of these guys can lay claim to a starting left guard job given their track records. Watching Robert Jones, the 24 tape at Miami,
before the injury.
I'm not going to pretend like it's something special here, but like he clearly knows what the hell he's doing. Like I watched 3 or 4 games of him, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's not great, but I don't think you'd ever think about him. I think he's actually pretty good. I think that was a really shrewd signing by the Niners. I'm usually um, a bit more
What do
critical.
you like about him? Because he's a
Yeah,
big, powerful bodied guard.
yeah.
There's no question about that. I
He
mean,
he delivers a pretty good punch at the line. His issue is going to be with if the punch doesn't land and knock a guy off balance, which it's not strong enough to do that. He's no like Tyler Booker. Then his feet don't get back fast enough, but he recovers pretty well. He's just kind of a scrapper. What I liked about him, what really stood out to me, is his head's always moving, his feet are always moving. He's looking for work. He's looking for work in pass pro. He's looking for work. Certainly in the run game, he's someone who, and this sounds trivial, but like it really does show up when you watch a lot of, especially at the college level. Like he knows all the plays. He knows where he can take chances, where he can take liberties, where he can go help out. He knows everything that's happening on the football field. He's very aware, from what I could see, more so than most guards. Like the fact that stands out when I'm watching it. Is a pretty clear indication that it's high level stuff if I know what the hell I'm looking at, which is debatable. But I thought that he was just on top of it. And Smart's, I've never talked to the guy in my life. I haven't, texted any coaches of his, but I'd be shocked if we show up and coaches don't just rave about, how smart he is, which is not something typically is talked about with offensive linemen, but really does matter especially when we're talking about the interior. And I liked his tape. I thought it was more than passable, and he's not going to be the most talented. I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of options, but I think that everyone should feel pretty comfortable with Robert Jones starting at left guard, not because I'm guaranteeing it will happen, but because he's pretty damn good. Like, not great, not going to make an All-Pro, not going to make a Pro Bowl, probably not going to be talked about by anybody, but I think he puts in good tape and is somebody that you can count on to give you competent left guard snaps for an entire year. And in the 49ers system, that's as good as gold.
yeah, I mean, he's stronger than you would think.
Yeah.
Well, when I say than you would think, then you would expect him to be able to sign kind of off the street. He looks like kind of like he can kind of throw people around.
Yeah.
I'm eager to see what he looks like. I really am.
Yeah, coming off of that injury that knocked him out of all of last year, I can somewhat understand. But again, yeah, I'm with you on the sense of you watch the tape and you're like, wait a minute, this guy was just hanging around and is getting nothing. Like that shoulder injury must have sucked, which we might show up and it's pretty clear that it's shot and he's got no chance. But it's a good bet because that 24 tape in Miami, Mike McDaniel's system, like you know that he's going to fit in right away. And I thought he, again, put really good tape out there and that you could do a hell of a lot worse at left guard. Like we saw a lot of times last year.
So we started with Lynch and he spoke first. Then we moved to Shanahan. And let's just summarize what Shanahan said. He basically said, hey, Kyle, what do you think of the international games? And he's like, hey, look, we have 2 of the 8. He's like, we'll deal with it. That's his way of saying
he was
fucking
thrilled.
Hate it. I absolutely fucking hate it. He was also asked about CMC's workload. And this is like the first real pivot we saw from Shanahan on this front. I've been asking him this question for 2 years. CMC's got 400 plus touches. Are you concerned about his workload? And he always had an answer. Well, you can't really manage his workload because he's also our check down guy. And so we throw him the ball. He touches the ball more than we actually have planned for him to touch the ball. And you can't take him off the field. He won't come off. And, Bobby T, loves him and all these different barriers to giving somebody else some carries. Mm-hmm. But Shanahan today said, CMC's workload has to be managed. It has to be reduced. He referenced that Isaac Guerendo is very good in the pass game. He referenced that he wished he had played Jordan James more. He said CMC definitely needs help at running back. It's hard to get him off the field. Then he went on to say that Brian Robinson didn't play very much last year because him and CMC had different skill sets and that they couldn't call the same plays for B-Rob that you could for CMC.
Right.
But I don't know if and then the other guys just didn't play because he's only going to play his first 2 backs. So it's like he had backs that had similar skill sets to CMC,
Mhm.
but he kept them on the depth chart 3 and 4 on the depth chart. And then he decided he was only going to play the top 2. So
Right.
he basically made a series of decisions that guaranteed that CMC and only CMC would touch the ball. And then
Yes.
by the end of the year, that's what happened. And now, even though he loves Christian and he loves the family, the McCaffrey family is probably this close to filing a class action lawsuit against Shanahan for abuse.
Oh,
And
no. Christian would never do that. He
but I
loves
mean,
it. He's the problem.
I know, but I mean, they have to realize that you know, he can have 2 more years in the NFL with
Yeah,
450 touches, or he can have 4 more years in the NFL with 300 touches. What do you want?
Yeah. No, I'm with you. It is funny though. As soon as I saw that quote, I look back and I go, man, where have I heard that before? He said the last 2 seasons before the season started, we got to manage his workload. How's that working out, by the way? Every year, he's like, yeah, we got to manage the workload. I got the quotes. It's just
they're managing it all right. They're managing to drive their guy into the ground.
And I can't take it seriously on the premise very simply of if they really meant it, they should have put their money where their mouth was in free agency. Because you got a Kenneth Gainwell or a Tyler Algier who are there and available and from what I could tell interested in getting a call from the 49ers. They didn't call them up. They weren't in the ball game for either of them. They weren't looking for a 1B. They're going to ride with Jordan James, who, yes, Kyle was very keen on late last year, but not keen enough to trust. Or they're going to go with Garendo, who Kyle does not trust, full stop. Or what, a rookie? Like Patrick Taylor? Like, what are we doing here? So if they really did want to manage Christian McCaffrey's workload, they should have put their money where their mouth was. And a credit to the Niners, they actually spent some money this offseason. And I thought they did a very nice job in a lot of ways. But like Tyler Algier at $7.5 million would have been a pretty clear sign, much like giving up a 3rd-round pick or whatever it was for Brian Robinson, though I wouldn't have done it for him. And I said that at the moment, and it proved prescient. Like, hey, we need something better here. Okay, spend the money and get the guy who's better. Spend the guy who can be a number, a clear number 2, or take a series or 2 every quarter off. Like there's a lot of good things that they could have done. They didn't do them. So it's just lip service to me until I see somebody else actually taking on that role. And at this point, it would have to be Jordan James. And maybe he can do it. Maybe he can't. I don't know. It's a mystery box. But it doesn't seem to me like that's something you can count on if you're trying to win 12, 13 football games, is Jordan James taking a huge step forward in his 2nd year and playing like Christian McCaffrey to the point where you can feel comfortable taking Christian McCaffrey off the field.
Where are they going to get this guy? Are they going to invest a 2nd-round pick in Jadarian Price? I think there's a possibility on that.
Yeah, he's. There's only 2 guys who can do it. One of them's Price, and that's even a little bit iffy. The other one's going to probably go 4 overall to Tennessee, and Jeremiah Love. So it's not a good running back class. Full stop. I mean, I think there's some quality number 2s, kind of, first down guys that you can stick out there. A lot of, inside zone runners, kind of north-south guys. But when you're talking about finding someone who can even be a marginal facsimile of a Christian McCaffrey, like that does not exist in this class. There's no do-it-all back in this class that's available to San Francisco, unless you really want to bet big on Price. And I'm not sure that you're going to have the opportunity to do that at 58 overall. So, yeah, I think that they're going to ride with Jordan James. I think, again, this is all just lip service, because if they're hoping that they can find a guy like that in the draft, then they have to be comfortable going up empty-handed. That doesn't sound like a very good plan to manage workload to me.
If you're trying to unearth the next Christian McCaffrey in this draft,
yeah,
who do you want? I mean, who do you go for? I mean, it's too easy to say there's no Christian McCaffrey in this draft. Okay, obviously. Okay, we can play that game forever. I mean, that's obvious.
No, okay, but
there's no Christian McCaffrey in this
draft.
You're
talking about a do-it-all. Talking about a do-it-all, can catch it out of the backfield, can run routes at a high level, and is also an elite running back in the actual craft of being a running back. Jeremiah Love is legitimately the only one. If you need to get lucky, you could maybe take a bet on Katron Allen out of Penn State. You can maybe take a bet on the kid out of Virginia, Jamari Taylor. I really don't think that they're going to be in to the Wake Forest kid, Damon Claiborne, but because of fumbles, but maybe that. Like,
Let me throw you some names.
Sure. I mean,
okay, Mike Washington, Arkansas.
He's not even close to it. He's first off, where's the speed show up on tape? I don't see it. And he tests out of he tests out of this world. He wasn't a very good running back at Arkansas. I don't get the hype on him at all. He seems to me like an underwear warrior, and someone's gonna come away sorely mistaken, like that kid out of Iowa last year.
I kind of like Washington. He did fumble 10 times. That's my big concern. Jonah Coleman from Washington is gutty. He's a 5'8", compact guy.
We're talking about Christian McCaffrey. Gutty can't be part of the conversation.
Okay, I hear you. I got some others that are better, I think. Emmett Johnson, Nebraska.
I'm not an Emmett Johnson guy, but I can at least hear that.
Now, when I first heard, well, we only trust Christian. I thought it really had more to do with blocking than it had to do with receiving. But then Kyle made it seem like, if we don't have the receiver. But if you're just looking for a dominant blocker, Jam Miller from Alabama is 220 pounds, and he is absolutely strong as hell. He'll block.
I'm really glad you brought him up. Jam Miller is a very, very good running back. He's not actually good at being a running back in like the classic sense.
They had a really bad year running the ball this year.
And Alabama fired their offensive line coaches. They got rid of them all and they had good offensive linemen. It was a bad scheme. I'm starting to think this Ryan Grubb guy doesn't know what the hell he's doing, even though he got a Washington team to a national championship game. But the last couple of years have not been kind to his reputation. Might have Peter Principled out there. But he's a really good pass catcher. They rebuilt the entire Bama offense around him as a pass catcher. They couldn't run the ball, so they just started doing swing passes. And that was a functional offense. And it's a lot of Ty Simpson's completion percentage, especially in the second half of the year. Jam Miller is a very good running back. Again, he's not that do-it-all. But if you're just looking for someone who can actually come in on third down instead of McCaffrey, or maybe even play together,
he'll block.
There's an argument to be made there.
He'll stonewall you in the hole for sure. You're right, player. Though. He's going
to be a good pro.
Now, the two guys, if you said, Krug, give me a couple guys that you think have the most McCaffrey-like vibe.
Okay.
I'm going to go with and I do have two guys that I think are pretty damn good, and I like both these guys. Now, I don't know, neither of them are Christian, of course. The Navy kid, Eli Heidenreich, 6 feet, 198 pounds. He's not as jacked as CMC. He doesn't have the ability as a runner, but he's a receiver. He can catch the ball. He can catch the ball to the backfield. He's kind of a poor man's Christian, but the guy that I think has the most Christian-like, in my opinion, in this class, I'm a huge fan of the Florida International kid, Keyshawn Owens.
Yeah.
He's 5'10". He's 210 pounds. He's a great athlete. He's a Miami kid, went to Miami Central High School.
I know.
He's got, he's for all Conference USA first team this year, all conference or Conference USA offensive player of the year. This is not just like a guy that I just found somewhere. This guy's big time.
No, yeah.
He played in all 13 games, 1,300 yard season, 11 rushing touchdowns. He's got that kind of unbelievable balance. He's got a little bit of that Alvin Kamara crazy balance to him where you just can't knock him off his feet. But he's got the receiver, running back kind of traits. He can catch it. He just reminds me a lot of Christian, and he's a phenomenal athlete. I mean, this is a really great athlete who's going to show up in training camp, and you're going to be like, whoa, look at this guy. This guy's athletic. So I love Keyshawn Owens, 5'11", 210-pound running back from Conference USA, played for Florida International.
I've watched him a little bit. I'm concerned that there's no speed there. I know that the reputation is speed. I think that has more to do with slow defenses than it does actual speed. He's a between the tackles runner who
didn't he run? Didn't he have a good 40 though? I thought he had a good 40.
You tell me. I haven't. I don't know. One up. I did. I just watched the tape on him. He just looked like somebody who beat up on weaker competition, which isn't to say that he can't be a pro. right? But yeah, he's a between the tackles runner at 205 pounds and 5'9". That doesn't translate at the NFL level.
He ran 4.6.
Yeah, he's not draftable.
They
I
ran
didn't have a draftable grade
4.48.
on him.
He ran 4.48 as well, somewhere in there.
Where?
Well, it says he ran a 4.48 at the combine after 2,000-yard seasons at Ole Miss. He transferred. Maybe am I looking at the same guy? Yeah,
It might be 5K John Owens, to be fair.
Yeah, Florida International. Yeah,
it's all. Listen.
It's roughly a 4.5 40. I think that's basically what it is.
And that's listen.
It's not home run hitter.
No, it's no. And
but
again,
he's a nice player.
I have a prerequisite of like 215 pounds unless you are a freak, unless you are just beyond the pale in terms of speed or 3-cone or something like that. Like McCaffrey can get away with it because he's a freak. Jahmyr Gibbs can get away with it because he's a freak. Otherwise, you're going to have some heft on you, because if you're not a freak, they're going to hit you. And if you don't have some weight on you, you're going to get hurt. And there's just a lot of really light running backs who can get away with it at the college level, where there are, 210-pound linebackers. But once you get to the pros and there's a minimum 235, 240 at linebacker, things change. Things change pretty quickly, and at a certain point, physics win out. So, I especially in late rounds, like I do think that you have to be more cognizant of the size than maybe the stats or even the skill set, because clearly they don't have an elite skill set. Otherwise, they would have been considered, hey, this guy's really good, because they would have had the incredible numbers and all that. It gets really murky, and this is where I come back to, like, I just don't think there's that many draftable players in that class. This kid will probably get drafted, and hope nothing but the best for him. Don't know him from a hole in the wall. Hope nothing but the best for him. I'm not rooting against him by any stretch, but like, if he goes at 175, that's a pretty clear indication that this is not a very good draft.
You're right, no question about that. A couple other thoughts from Shanahan. He says he's a big fan of Renardo Green. He called his playoff benching a building moment. Says he gave Brock Purdy a list of 5 things to do this offseason before training camp, included video reviews of his play. I thought maybe the most interesting Kyle comment was he said that the Niners are in no rush to part ways with Brandon Aiyuk. And then he went on to say, hopefully we get something.
Yeah. It's always good to hope, Lair. Isn't that,
I mean, that
you
that
lose
one,
hope, you lose it all.
That one to me is really interesting. Lynch has echoed this. Jed was asked about Aiyuk, and it was obvious what Jed was saying. Jed was like just saying Jed doesn't know, and Jed's like, yeah, he could be back, and then people are like, we're going live. Brandon Aiyuk could return. It's like, no, he's not going to return. That's not what he said. Basically, I mean, yeah, I guess you could take the owner at his word in the off season, but you've already had the general manager tell you to your face that he's played his last snaps with the Niners.
Right.
And now to go back to the owner, and when the owner was like, I don't know, we'll see. We'll just have to see. I'm paying him. I'd like to know.
Yeah.
All of a sudden it's like, we're going live. Brandon Aiyuk could be back with the No, he's not.
Nope.
That's the most disingenuous report. Just keep
a list out there, everybody who put that out as some sort of possibility. Just keep a list, people out there. Just remember when those people ask to be taken seriously, because they shouldn't be.
Right. Well, people ran with that. Like, oh my God, he could be back. And it's like, no, that's not what he said. And
get some better sourcing.
Yeah.
You think the owner knows anything?
And basically he said, BA is a talented guy. Would love to have him back. If not, and then before he could even say that and get that word out of his mouth, he's like, and if not, he's a valuable asset that other teams would want. I think anything is possible.
Yeah.
So September 1st is the $25 million option bonus. That's the date.
Right.
And so the 49ers are not going to move off of Aiyuk until after June 1st.
Right.
The June 1st date is a significant date. So all this talk about, what are they going to do with him now? They're not going to do anything with him now because if they wait till June 1st, they're much more in an advantageous situation as far as their cap hit. They can spread the cap hit over 2 years as opposed to having it all absorbed into one. So they're definitely going to wait till June 1st. The question is, the 49ers clearly at this juncture want something in return for Brandon Aiyuk.
Right.
And the more I look at this, maybe I'm not seeing this clearly because I don't see everything clearly, but this is what I see. I'm looking at, obviously he wants to go to the Commanders.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I'm just looking at the Commanders and their depth chart at wide receiver. And their depth chart at wide receiver is a very unique depth chart from the standpoint of
that's a nice way of putting it.
It's all guys that have unbelievable chances of making the roster. Why? Well, Terry McLaurin's the star.
Right.
And then Treylon Burks, De'Ami Brown, Van Jefferson were all just acquired the other day.
Mm-hmm.
They just added these guys the other day.
Mm-hmm.
They also still have Jalen Lane, the Vatek kid who runs in the 4.3s. He's they're probably their most explosive downfield vertical threat. They also have the former San Jose State star Nick Nash and a couple other guys, and they have Luke McCaffrey. But if you just count, McLaurin's going to be there. I would say Van Jefferson, De'Ami Brown, Jalen Lane, and Treylon Burks have a great chance to be on this roster. Aiyuk's got a great chance to be on this roster. That's your receiving core right there. So what I'm looking at, there was a report a few weeks ago that said the 49ers would be very satisfied if they could get Luke McCaffrey back for Brandon Aiyuk.
Didn't you say that?
I said it, but I saw it in somebody else said it. And I saw something, I was some rumor.
If two people say it, then Beetlejuice shows up.
Well, no, I mean, some rumor mill thing said it.
Yeah.
But I've been kind of whispering that. That, if you really think about it, that could be your win-win right there. Washington, I would say Luke McCaffrey only has about a 55% chance of even making their roster, especially if they're going to bring in Aiyuk. And Luke McCaffrey would probably be a nice little addition for the Niners. And you might even be able to get a late day 3 pick with him. You might be able to get Luke McCaffrey in a 6th-round pick or something like that.
Yeah, maybe.
And if Washington's looking at Luke McCaffrey going, hey, we're going to cut this guy anyway, then what are they really even giving? They're just giving a late day 3 pick. The Niners save a little face, get a little better PR spin out of it, kind of stick it to Aiyuk on his way out the door.
That's the big thing.
And everybody, Aiyuk gets to go with Daniels. The Niners get to have the McCaffrey brother reunion.
Yep.
And Lynch doesn't lose face. Peters doesn't lose face. Everybody saves face, and everybody gets what they want. I would say that, to me, Luke McCaffrey and a late day 3 pick for Aiyuk, I think, is the win. That's the deal that wins for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, the issue is who wants that contract? I don't know what is still on the contract of Aiyuk. I know that they cancel all the guarantees. I don't think anyone wants that contract with the injury that he just came off of. They want him for free. So this, to me, is just strict pettiness. And you know what? That's fine.
Well, isn't the contract going to get ripped up no matter what? Even if he goes there with the contract,
I wouldn't rip it up if I was him. If they traded me,
well, I know, but isn't he going? I mean,
I don't know.
Does
anyone know with this guy?
I think they're going to strong arm him into
probably maybe, but that's their problem. And until they get what they need, they're screwed with the contract. As far as I could tell, I mean, he's still on the books, so I wouldn't trade for him. I wouldn't. I mean, it's easy for us to say. I wouldn't trade for him. And to me, this what'd you say? September 1 is the bonus date due.
Yeah.
So we all understand the game of chicken in this is, will the Commanders trade for him before June 1? And then, after that, the Niners will cut him. That's not true. That's not guaranteed because the guy doesn't show up.
I don't think the Niners are the Niners may hold him into, I don't, it's really hard to say how long they
would it be worth
him.
I guess the question is, how much pettiness do they have in them? Because I think that they want to extract some blood. Like
I think they would only hold him to the beginning of camp. I don't think they would
think
hold
that's
him
probably
beyond the
not
beginning
worth
of
it.
camp.
But they did the Jimmy Garoppolo thing. Like that. Now, this is all on the presumption that Brandon Aiyuk never shows up. Now he could just show up to work, which is a whole other thing. But he doesn't seem too concerned with his rights as a member of the Players Association in the past. So maybe he comes to Jesus at some point and realizes that he actually has some say here. I think it's absolutely going to be the Niners could have used a post-June 1 designation and just gotten off of them there. They decided, no, we're losing nothing because he's not going to show up. He's not around. We don't talk to him, none of this, so we don't have to deal with any drama or nonsense, and we can just hold on to him until after June 1st and have the exact same thing and make him sweat a little bit, make the Commanders, maybe come to the table a little bit. Again, I don't think that the Commanders is logical and straightforward and prudent as a McCaffrey and maybe even a pick trade for Aiyuk would be. I don't think they want that contract. I don't think they want any part of it. And I don't think that they want to have the conversation with Brandon Aiyuk about tearing it up to sign a really, really cheap one, which is what they would sign him to were he an actual free agent. I don't think they want that headache because he's not an easy guy to deal with. He might change his mind 5 times in those contract negotiations like he did with the Niners when they were giving him more money than he probably ever deserved. So the Niners are looking at this and saying, we can take this thing right up to August 30th. Well,
you don't think they have something in hand?
If they had it in hand, they'd take it by now.
No, they wouldn't, because don't they want to hold him till June 1st so they can split up the cap hit? I think you're going to see him
trade him.
After.
You don't get the cap hit's not an issue if you trade him, and you already avoided his guarantees.
Well, what is the exact cap ramifications via a trade pre-June 1st? Because that I'm unclear on.
Let me look it up. Give me 1 second.
Yeah. By the way, as you're looking that up, this is what Chris Sims had to say today about Aiyuk. We'll play this while you're getting that. Here we go. Here's a little Chris Sims with Mike Florio, the blind leading the blind here.
Shanahan said today that the 49ers are hoping to get something for receiver Brandon Aiyuk. Look, this is what happens when you have forfeited your guarantees. Mm-hmm. There's no reason for the 49ers to cut him.
No.
They can sit and they can wait. There's no trigger. That's why we talk about having that thing in there that forces an early decision. There was nothing to force the decision. They're not on the hook for anything. Totally. Everything is non-guaranteed. They can wait for someone to call up until week 1. As of week 1, when he's on the roster, and he won't be, but if he's on the active roster week 1, that's when they would owe him his full salary guaranteed as a practical matter, and we'll get to that point. They're just waiting, and they feel no compulsion to work with this guy because they look at what he's done, and right, wrong, or otherwise, they view him as being the culprit in the collapse of the relationship.
He screwed them over multiple times. There's really not any other way to say it. He's done that. And then because of that, there's certainly not going to be any rush. This isn't one of your stories of like, oh, he's been great to us as an organization. He's been awesome. We're going to try to make it work with him and make the player happy. No, this is going to be one where they go, we actually don't care about the player at all, and we're going to do totally his best. And I could see this being one where they're waiting in training camp. Some team that's in the playoff conversation, one injury, and they go, uh-oh. Or they just look at their roster in general and go, we don't have a guy. Hey, 49ers, here's a 3rd or a 4th rounder for Brandon Aiyuk. I mean, we know they don't want him. That's going to hurt his value. It's a big price tag. He's coming off a knee injury. So all that's going to hurt. But, yeah, this is a case where the 49ers can wait as long as they possibly can before they unload him.
Even if all he gets a 7th rounder, it's more than what you have now.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
Time is on their side, and they're willing to see how it plays out.
The bottom line is the Niners are in no rush. They feel like Aiyuk probably did them wrong, and they just don't. This is not about, sometimes they'll be like, hey, we really want to get this guy in a good situation, and we want to make sure we send him to a team that he's going to be happy. They don't have any of those concerns here.
They want him to sweat. They want him to feel pain on this one if they could.
They can't be too punitive publicly, or there is the risk of pushback in a free agency. It's a free agent sport. I mean, players are not going to, they understand. I mean, Aiyuk did this to himself. There's a limit, though, to what the Niners can do. If it is viewed as the 49ers are doing Aiyuk wrong, like let's just say the Niners Draft comes and goes, they don't trade him. June 1st comes and goes, they don't trade him. Camp starts, comes and goes, they don't trade him. He's still on the team. He wants out.
Right.
You know, then there's going to be commentary around the league from all the different corners, from different people saying the Niners are doing Aiyuk wrong, and there could be some pressure and there could be some fallout. I mean, it's just
I guess
if they're viewed as aggressive.
You hear all that stuff, and in the moment it feels heavy, and then the next year comes around, and it's never a big deal. It was just this fleeting moment of incivility, right? Like I just don't read that much into it because there's not a pattern of things like this happening with the 49ers. The 49ers have made it, probably to their own detriment, they're very forthright in trying to be loyal and go and standing by their guys. And yes, they're tough negotiators, but they want to do what's best and they want to be in partnership. Brandon Aiyuk doesn't have a leg to stand on here, and that's no commentary on his injury. It's simply the dude. The story that I know, and I'm sure there are multiple layers beyond what even I know, is that the dude was, effectively cheating on the Niners during the contract negotiations, talking to other teams, saying, yeah, I'm coming, I'm going to get my way out of here, while at the same time saying, oh, no, I want to sign here. Bizarre stuff, just bizarre stuff, which does raise some questions. And then finally signs the deal, is unhappy, immediately is telling people around the league, like, I shouldn't have done that. Like, I got to figure out a way to get to Washington. I should have gone to Washington. But Washington never came and ponied up. And then the whole knee injury happens, and everything's A-okay. And then he just ghosts him. And it's wholly unprofessional. It's deeply bizarre, and you forfeit not only your rights to guaranteed money in an even more bizarre way. He would have had the easiest PA grievance of all time with that one. The Niners would have folded like a cheap card table if you come up with the PA. At that time, who the hell knows who's running the PA, or even now. But you go up with the PA and you're like, I'm sorry, you're getting rid of all of my guarantees while I'm injured. Like, the easiest grievance of all time. Doesn't even go through it. Lets the Niners void all of his guarantees, which, by the way, to answer the question you asked earlier, yes, you do want to wait until post-June 1 because it's effectively the same in terms of cap savings with the cutting. The issue is we don't know how much of those guarantees are void. So we don't know what kind of dead money there really is. Under the old contract, we have those numbers, but we don't actually know what his contract is anymore. So it's impossible to say what the kind of dead money hits would be pre and post, because that has to do with guaranteed money. If you trade him before June 1, you're losing $14 million on the cap in dead money this year, and it's a $29 million hit on the books. But I don't know if that's true anymore. Whereas if you trade him post June 1, it's 8.3 on the books as dead money, and you save 6, and next year you save more, and then the year after that you save more and more. But you have to put 8.3 million on the books for the next 3 years, on top of 4 or 5 the year after that. If you trade him. But again, I don't know if that's true or not anymore, and I'll have to talk to somebody who might actually know. But it is, Aiyuk doesn't have a leg to stand on, and if someone wants to, take up his cause and turn him into some sort of a martyr, I'm sure someone will do it. I'm sure someone's going to be out here being like, they're doing him wrong. This is not how, professional teams. They're going to spout this nonsense. And then all the Niners have to do is, let me tell you a little story about Brandon Aiyuk. And there's no sane person on this planet, someone that you'd want to be working with, who would be like, you know what? You guys were real jerks to him. Like, no one's going to take Brandon Aiyuk's side if even they hear the story that I've heard from a couple of different people, because it was just weird and bizarre and unbecoming. And as Chris Sims said, like he did him dirty. He legit did him dirty in a bunch of different ways. And I'm not concerned about his feelings on this. He's got some ulterior motive. I don't know what the hell's going on there. I can't wait until we no longer have to talk about him.
Jed also spoke today, and he said a bunch of things. Here's probably the most interesting thing that Jed said, talking about the tenure of both John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan with the Niners.
He would hate that so much. I couldn't imagine him doing television. But I thought he did great on the Super Bowl. I think he did a really good job. I think Kyle's got 3 years left. mean, I want Kyle to be here for a long time. He's been here for a long time. I want him to be here even longer. JL, I think I think it's this year and next, but I don't know off the top of my head. I want JL to be here for a long time, but it's really, what do those guys want to do, right? When you sit down and have conversations after 10 years, like where do you want to be? What is your life like? And how do you see it? And do you want to re-up to be a part of the 49ers? Do you want to do something else in our organization in a different place? I don't know the answer, but I have a great relationship with both those guys, and I hope they're here and they're with me and the 49ers and our family for a very long time.
So basically, it almost sounded there like they can write their own ticket.
Yep. As it's
Which
been since day one.
Is still, I gotta say, I'm a little surprised. I will say this. I think it's a little disingenuous to be like, this is your head coach and your general manager. These are the two central figures that you've entrusted your franchise, which is worth over $1 billion, to these two guys.
And you don't $1 billion.
And you're well, no, I mean, I'm just saying it's worth billions of dollars, right?
It's worth like 10.
Right. It's worth $10 billion.
Yeah.
You really believe that Jed doesn't know the contract status of John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan? That's just come on, man. That's just pretending. That's just there's things that you say in front of cameras and microphones for effect. That was for effect. That was like, hey, man, I'm not too fast. I'm not too focused on it. Everything's good. I don't see you guys are all stressed. I'm not stressed. I'm cool as the other side of the pillow. Okay, that's fine. But don't tell us that you don't know how long you have those guys under contract for. That is not plausible. That's not a plausible response. I'm not saying it's nefarious. I'm just saying that I think he's saying that for, kind of the, hey, I'm cool, kind of the effect. Well, he knows exactly how many years Lynch has left and Shanahan has left. He may not know what Upton Stout's contract terms are, but he knows Lynch's and Shanahan's, right? Yeah. Come on.
Well, I'll say this. I bet he knows that Rangers are 3 points back of Hearts at the top of the Scottish Premiership, and that Leeds is only 3 points clear of the relegation zone, 4 points clear of the relegation zone in the Premiership. Does he know anymore? Does he give as much of a shit anymore? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Listen, is it a clear and pressing issue with the Sanford? Like, John Lynch's and Kyle Shanahan's are not clear and pressing issues. Maybe at 18 months, that's fine. I don't think that he is as involved with this team as he has been, or maybe as he should be. That's subject to opinion. But they are a multi-continent operation now, and he's got this thing on autopilot, baby. At least he let him spend money this year, but I think he's probably more concerned about Leeds getting a new goalie and.
He didn't know about Christian Kirk. He didn't know about Christian Kirk. I don't find that all that surprising. That to me, it's like if you knew about Christian Kirk, and if you need to know about every move that's the size of a Christian Kirk, then you're a very much meddling owner. I mean,
I disagree with that. How can you?
If you're sitting there and being consulted on the fifth wide receiver on the roster, and you don't make that move without talking to somebody who doesn't know anything about football personnel, I mean, that is, to me.
Well, who's arguing that's the case? Like, I'm not arguing that's the case.
Jed made it seem today like he didn't know anything about Christian Kirk, and then some people were like, "Oh, he's disconnected." And I would say, "Hey, you know what? I think Jed is the right kind of owner at this point. You get people that you trust, and you empower them to do the job, and then you cut the check at every turn they tell you to cut the check. You get a bad review by the NFLPA. Here's $10 million to go put in hydro tubs and everything else." I think Jed's an easy target because he's not Eddie. I think Jed has always been an easy target. I think there are older people in the Bay Area media that will always see him as the idiot nephew of of Eddie D, and they'll never give him any respect. And the
Not
truth
even
is,
direct
he's a
line
pretty good
Nepo
owner.
baby.
He's a pretty good owner.
Listen, no one's ever going to like the owner. What are the good owners? The good owners are the ones that win Super Bowls.
And cut the check. The guy who cuts the check and doesn't. I mean, Jerry Jones is a bad owner. I think we can say what a good owner is and what's a bad owner. A good owner hires football people and they do the football job. A bad owner says, you know what, get out of the way. I'm doing the job.
Yeah.
I mean, in some ways, I think we could have a real good debate. I'm sure, they've got their own radio station, and I'm sure they would fight it aggressively. But is Joe Lacob a good owner? He's fired all of his reputable personnel people and replaced them with his children and himself. He lucked out with Steph Curry, and now it's a parade of Justinian Jessup, Nico Mannion, and a parade of crap and nothingness. I mean, he a great owner because he wants to do it himself. He's not hired. He's more meddlesome than Jed.
He is very involved, and. I mean, the reason that Bob Myers quit is because Joe Lacob was too involved. Full stop. He couldn't deal with Joe anymore. So Bob's like, I'm doing something else because I'm smart and I'm handsome and I just won championships and I can go do whatever I want. The world is my oyster. So I'm not going to do this shit anymore. So is that good ownership? Probably not. He's good enough to where they're not in disarray. They'll make money forever.
Yet.
Yeah, man. Well, I mean, on the
We'll
court,
see.
There's a different argument, but no. Listen. Again, the good owners are the ones who win championships. There's a Machiavellian answer to all. Was Jody Allen a good owner, a caretaker owner going into this year? Well, she sure as hell looks like a great one now. Because they won the Super Bowl, and she did exactly what you want them to do: write the check and get the hell up out of the way. Trust the football people. The issue is. Now you're totally judged on the football people. So now we've passed the buck of responsibility, and it's not as if John Lynch is the most beloved GM in Bay Area sports history either. And it's not as if Kyle doesn't have his detractors, as stupid as they might be. So no one's happy about anything in America anymore. That's fine. Like I can't deal with that. I'm the biggest pessimist you've ever met, and even I'm like, these people have gone too far. I'll say this. Jed, we agree on the right way to own the team is to understand what's happening with the team, trust your people, cut the check. Doesn't mean you can't have, conversations and be convinced on it and sometimes even put your foot down. But, you're not making the call on a Christian Kirk or even a Mike Evans or even a Brock Purdy to a degree. Like, you let football guys make the football decisions, but you're in tune enough so that you can make determinations on the football guys. I'm a believer in the school of Bill Cowher. I don't coach coaches, or I don't coach players. I coach coaches. Jed York's job isn't to figure out how the 49ers can be best on the field. His job is to hire the right people to figure out that job, and that has to go all the way down. So there's a lot of positives to be gleaned from that. I just wish he'd pick a goddamn lane in terms of what kind of an owner he is. Because right now, everything seems hunky-dory in terms of his ownership. But this time last year, he's live tweeting from the draft room, making an ass of himself. Because now he's super involved on that day. And then sometimes you don't hear, no one's heard from him in a month and a half, and it's all Parag. So pick a damn lane on what kind of owner you are and stick to it. So at least I know that there's not a moving target. The moving target aspect makes everyone's job more difficult. Now you're the eccentric CEO, and no one really knows if the company's doing well or not. And we got enough of those in Silicon Valley. We got enough people who think they're smarter than they actually are around here, including us. Like the whole stop being a moving target, Jed. Just do what you're doing now and stick with it. Whatever this is, bottle it up, and that's what you need to be, because you've been overly meddling, you've been totally absent, you've been live tweeting from the draft room, you've been, I don't know who any of these players are.
I like his tweeting.
Well, it's good for business, I'll give you that.
I mean, because he was setting off, he was keying picks, and
that was embarrassing.
I like that. I thought that was funny.
This man is worth billions of dollars, and he needs tweet affections like he's some idiot like us.
I know. I liked it. That part I liked. All
These
right.
people are sick in the head.
Couple other thoughts before we hit some supers and bolt for the door.
Yeah.
All right. What did I want to get to?
Do we have him? I don't know.
Here's what I want to get to. Matt Miller came up with his mock draft today of
Matt Miller looks tired.
7-round mock draft.
Makes sense.
And he before we even get to the mock draft, actually, the Niners had announced their coaching staff today for the first time. And there are some changes, actually.
Yes, there are.
You know, KJ Wright is now the linebacker coach, not Johnny Holland.
Johnny Holland kind of got demoted a little bit.
How about that? Johnny Holland is now the defensive run game coordinator, and KJ Wright is the linebacker coach.
KJ Wright's, by all accounts, KJ Wright, obviously a really good linebacker himself, but apparently is got the goods and is going to be a defensive coordinator in this league.
Well, of course, Raheem Morris is the defensive coordinator. You have Jesse Sapolo's son, Roman, as the assistant O-line coach.
That's a tough job.
You have Chris Forster's son, I would imagine, maybe brother, who knows. Micah Forster is a seasonal coach with the Niners, probably Forster's son. You have Jerry Gray, defensive pass game coordinator. You have Leonard Hankerson, who's no longer the wide receiver coach. He's now the pass game coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
Or is he? Yeah.
No.
He's a
pass game coordinator.
Or is he wide receiver coach and pass game coordinator?
He's both.
He's both. Okay.
Kyle loves Hank. Kyle thinks that Hank is just the best. He's loved him since Washington.
Assistant head coach defense is Eberflus. Cam Clemens is the new tight end coach.
Mm-hmm.
Jacob Webster, the quarterback coach. Deuce Schwartz, the tight end coach.
The assistant, yeah.
Angel Matute, the defensive QC.
We're all about Angel Matute over here.
So there you go. Do you have any thoughts on the coaching changes?
Feels like Forster got demoted a little bit there, didn't he? He used to be the run game coordinator, and then
they didn't run the ball well.
I mean, I'm not arguing that it was a bad idea. I'm just saying it's interesting.
Yeah. Before he was that position, wasn't it John Benton, who's now in Seattle?
Well, John Benton's an unbelievable offensive line coach, one of the best. Graves is interesting. That's run game coordinator and Kyle Shanahan are like that. That is a very, very important job. So Joe Graves is a name that we're going to be hearing about, I imagine, here in a lot, because that's Kyle's right-hand man in all effect. I know that they have an offensive coordinator now and all that with Kubiak, but run game coordinator is the backbone of Kyle Shanahan's offensive coaching staff as it relates to Kyle Shanahan. I'm excited for Hank. I love Hank. Hank's the best. I think he's done a really good job with the receivers, and excited for him to get more responsibility. I think he's ready for it. Hank's been the man for a long time.
Okay, so I did mention that Matt Miller from ESPN did a 7-round mock draft. And the Niners have 4 picks. They've got a first, a second, and 4 fourths. And basically, Matt Miller gave them a draft of Caleb Lomu from Utah in round 1, Gabe Yakis, the defensive end from the Illini, in round 2.
Yep.
Logan Jones, the center from Iowa, in round 4. Charles Demings, a corner from Stephen F. Austin, in round 4. Deontay Lawson, seems like he's been in college for a long time, the inside backer from Bama, and then Darrell Jackson, the defensive tackle from Florida State. What do you think of Miller's Niner draft haul in his latest mock?
They would be very, very fortunate to get Gabe Jacas at 58. Gabe Jacas is the darling of everyone's eye right now in the draft community, and it wouldn't shock me if Gabe Jacas is being talked about by some at 27.
He's the guy that reminds me the most when you look at his tape and his body, and his strength. He reminds me a lot of Jared Verse.
I don't see Jared Verse, but I totally see where you're seeing it.
6'4", 260, and that kind of.
Yeah. He really likes to scrap.
This guy's got the wrestling background. He's really
he's a mean
plays the game on his
SOB.
feet.
I like him. I like him a lot. It would be a shocker if he's at 58.
I wouldn't love this draft though, because to me, to take Lomu, and then I don't think Lomu is going to be a good guard. So I don't like the idea of playing Lomu at left guard. So I think
Lomu at guard. I'm not willing to totally discount it, but I get where you're coming from.
Logan, but I mean, like, okay, so give you an example of their first 4 picks, or really their first 5 picks. You know, they only have 6 picks. Who's actually going to play? Giannis and Darrell Jackson. Demings would barely ever play. Logan Jones is not going to play. Caleb Lomu, unless he plays at guard, is not going to play. He's certainly not going to play tackle. Right. So to me, when I'm looking at, they need to get good on the field to play against Seattle, the Cardinals, and the Rams next year. I don't think they get enough out of this draft for 2026.
But what I was talking about earlier with the draft kind of falling their way. So this is something that happens all the time with the people who don't cover this team on a daily basis. They just go, oh, tackle, Trent Williams. He's in the news. Let's think tackle. So tackles are available here. So here's Blake Miller. Here's Caleb Lomu. But here are just the players that he has mocked, for whatever this is worth, under Lomu at 27. He's got Avion Terrell from Clemson, he's the second best corner in this class, besides Delane. He's so good. He has Caleb Banks. I don't think he should go in the first round because of the foot thing. And there's a little bit too much Javon Kinlaw there, but okay, like there's something there. Like he's clearly a very high upside player. Keldrick Falk, 32 to the Seahawks. Don't let that happen. Don't let the Seahawks get Keldrick Falk. You'll regret that for the next 25 years. The 10, 15 years that he plays and the 10 years after that when he's gone.
He's one of the youngest players in the draft. He's 280 pounds. He's got a lot of talent. It's a little bit, I mean, I think you'd even have to admit a lot of the love on Falk is based on, the traits and the projection. He didn't have an overwhelming productive year. You could argue that Kieran Crawford opposite him was less heralded and did some better things. I mean,
I'll give you that.
But I like Falk.
He's 20.
Don't get me wrong,
he's 20 and he can play inside.
Something about Falk is
there might also be a redundancy with Michael, right? Like there's a lot of Michael in his game. Do you need 2 of those? I'll take as many Michaels as you can give me. I'm not sure anyone else is with me on that. But like even then, Zion Young, 34. Chase Besantis, 35. Okay, maybe you can't trade that, but like Concepcion, who I'm a big fan of. I can't shake Concepcion. I get it. I think
the only thing I don't like about Concepcion is that the catch radius is not big. And I can't watch the 49ers draft another receiver in the first round whose catch radius overall is not elite.
We're talking 27 here, baby. You ain't getting cream of the crop.
I don't want to,
especially in this class. Chris Johnson from San Diego State's just hanging out at 41 in this draft. Chris Johnson's a first-round player. He's unbelievable.
I mean, to me, when I'm looking at the board where they're at, it seems to me that the greatest value is either Chris Johnson, San Diego State, D'Angelo Pons, Indiana.
Yeah, I don't see Pons as a fit for them. He's a great player, but
how about Keontae Scott?
I like Keontae Scott a lot. I think that he's a better college player than he's going to be a pro. A lot of the traits I don't think are going to translate. You can't go back to the slot. You have Stout. I'm not the biggest Stout guy, but like he can't play outside. Keontae Scott, I don't think has the sort of speed.
I think Keontae Scott could be an all-pro safety. I think he could be a free safety. I like him at free safety.
Play free safety. I think he could be a box safety, and I don't think that there's any room for a box
safety. He's really good in the slot.
He's an unbelievable player.
He's a 4.25 speed with 43-inch vertical, and he made big plays for the Canes.
He goes north and south. That's awesome. He's a really good player. He does not go east-west in any other direction between north and south and east and west. He doesn't go either. The hips are tight. He can get crossed up easy. It has to be straight line for him. He's a Sam linebacker and a hell of a Sam linebacker. But I think that whomever gets him is going to be very happy. I think that the Niners would be foolish there because there's kind of like what we were saying with Falk. Like there's a redundancy there that becomes really problematic. Same thing with Pons. Like he's going to be a really good player. He is a good player. He's not a fit for the Niners right here, right now, which kind of sucks because it's not like the Niners are so loaded that, but they do have some positions where it's like, man, kind of the last thing that they need is a nickel.
But I mean, first of all, I think Upton Stout can play almost anywhere. I mean, Upton Stout
don't.
played the nickel, but I think he could play safety. I mean, I think he could play outside corner, and I also think Pons could play outside corner. I agree with you, though.
I'll give you that Pons might. I'm not going to agree on Stout.
It's there's a little redundancy there for sure.
I think the real value for the Niners is hoping somebody is all frothed up for some ungodly reason on Ty Simpson because they watch Dan Orlovsky and get their information from him, and that there's some sort of a market of teams at the top of the second round who are like, we got to get Ty Simpson. We got to be able to get him so that we can get that 5th-year option. And you trade down, get a pick for next year, even if it's like a marginal one, get into the top of the second round, because I still think you're going to have a lot of really good choices. And then you open yourself up to maybe being more open to guards like a Basantis.
Yeah.
I want to be somewhere between 33 and 40. I'd like to get in there twice if I could. I'd give up 27 if I can find a way to get in to that second round
twice,
up to about 50 twice.
Well, that would be the Jets. The Jets would be 33 Jets. And 44.
If you could find, I think you might have to, if you could trade down from 27 and trade up from 58.
How about this? You could do it with Houston.
Yeah.
If Houston
38.
was willing to go, if you're willing to jump from 27 to 38, you could get 38 and then they pick 59.
59's tricky because, but again, there's like a fall off after 50 for me. Now, in this Miller draft, you can make the argument that the fall off is at like 59. That's when Pregnon goes, and at 61, it's Drew Aller. So it's like, okay, we're maybe.
I don't know. It really depends how you look at this thing. I personally, I think 49ers could go Kristen Miller at 27 and then come back in round 2 for. I really think the good fit for them is Moore. The Derek Moore, the edge rusher from Michigan, who's he had 10 sacks this year. He's got strong hands. I think he's a solid play. But if and I would go Kristen Miller and Derek Moore start off the draft.
Kristen Miller at 27.
I would try to trade back into 33 if I could. If I could,
be even a little early.
But I like Kristen Miller though. He's 6'4", 320, and I love the strength. I love the ability to play. He plays the game on his feet. He's really good against the run.
Yeah.
The other idea would be, if it's hard to say exactly who's going to be there at 27.
Of course.
But I personally, I think it's defensive end, defensive tackle, like Cassius Howell, Zion Young. The only question I would have is, why did John Lynch go to the Georgia Pro Day? And something tells me that he didn't, because he could have watched that thing on TV.
Yeah.
Was he there for Freeling? Was he there for C.J. Allen?
He could be. This is the
was he there
beauty
for
of Georgia.
Christian Miller?
He could be there for like 9 guys.
Oscar Delp. I mean, I'd go for Delp. I think he was probably there for Kristen Miller. That'll be my guess, because Miller just seems like, if you like Mikael Williams, then you like guys who are strong, healthy, great athletes, motivated, good guys, high character. If you liked him last year, Kristen Miller is the defensive tackle version, I think, of Mikael Williams. If you're looking for consistency. Now, what about Zion Young in his off the field issues? What about Cassius Howell and his relatively short arms?
Yeah, I'm not the biggest Howell guy.
I'm not a TJ Parker guy. I'll say this too, by the way. If I would encourage anybody, I read Bob McGinn's anonymous scout breakdown today of the wide receivers.
Mm-hmm.
It's a brutal. I mean, he assassinates every single wide receiver in this draft. I mean, he absolutely takes this draft and he goes through the wide receiver group. Carnell Tate's just a guy. Mekhi Lemon's small and slow. Jordan Tyson's a fraud. Omar Cooper is limited. Casey Concepcion has a tiny, catch radius. Denzel Boston is slow.
Mhm.
Jeremy Bernard, he doesn't. Zachariah Branch is fringe. Everything's within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. Antonio Williams is soft and hurt. Malachi Fields is slow and doesn't separate. Elijah Surratt is soft. Deion Burks is a total fraud. Bryce Lance, there's flaws in his. Jacoby Lane called him a pain in the ass. Said the guy's a gigantic pain in the ass.
Yeah, I believe it.
This guy. I would encourage everybody to go read it. It drives me to the one guy that he kind of does like in the receiving group that he didn't totally pan is Ted Hurst from Georgia State. And to me, I could see I don't think the Niners are going receiver until late, but maybe even after the draft. But maybe they go receiver in round 2 if Chris Bell or a couple guys are there. Ted Hurst, some of those guys. If they get to the second round and Omar Cooper, Casey Concepcion, Chris Bell, those guys are there. Ted Hurst, I could see one of those receivers being the pick, but
I can buy him. I can buy a receiver in the second. It's hard for me to do first on the basis. Even I, as a Concepcion guy, it's probably too rich. Probably too rich at 27.
This guy, Bob McGinn, the scouts that he talked to, ripped the tar out of Casey Concepcion.
What do they say?
I'll give it to you. It's unbelievable.
Apologies, I don't want to.
Yeah, this is unbelievable. They're just so negative on this guy.
Yeah.
Let's see. Here it is. Okay. He can play Z, but he's really outstanding with the ball in his hands. He can motor. He was very productive at NC State, super explosive. If he's your third receiver, you're really excited.
Mm-hmm.
Won the Paul Hornung Award, nation's most versatile player. Finished 4th in the FBS in punt return average. That's good. Brought back 30 punts for 16.7 average and 2 touchdowns as a receiver. Because then he goes into he's almost like a gadget guy. The way they play him, a scout said, it's going to be a while before he's anything. Looks like a track guy. You can tell he can run. He can run when things are free. They scheme him for his production. Doesn't catch the ball well. Lots of drops around a lot of bodies, which I think he had 7 drops.
Yeah, the drops is fair.
Then they go on to say small catch radius. They do this slip screen stuff with him, and he has no run after the catch. 3-star recruit from Charlotte, North Carolina. He's a slot, a third scout said. Quick, explosive. He can run, catch, and he's competitive. He'll be pretty good. So they went through almost every single guy. Chris Bell, they questioned his 40 speed.
Yep.
They said that the ACL is a big concern. Chris Brazel, they're like, big X wide receiver, can't create any lateral separation. Long strider who doesn't separate down the field. Omar Cooper, they thought his traits were just marginal across the board. Zachariah Branch, he's like 176 pounds. He has way too many drops. He had 29.5-inch arms. They really didn't. They kind of panned him. Get about Jacoby Lane, character stuff with him, that would drop him a little bit. He's just a pain in the ass. Jeremy Bernard, he's not a blazer, strong hands, he's physical, he's good after the catch, chance to be a number 3 in the league. His speed is pretty average though. So they just kind of go through Antonio Williams. Antonio Williams are like, he's got a great feel, he knows how to play, but durability, he's had ankle, foot, hamstring, shoulder issues. Malachi Fields are like, hey, he had one amazing week at the Senior Bowl. Suddenly he's going in the first round. Then he ran 4.65. He's a possession receiver at best that doesn't separate. He'll flash some playmaking, but far too inconsistent. So he just kind of panned a lot of the the receivers across the board. And this is, kind of like, if you look at the numbers, and when I say the numbers, I'm talking about how many guys bust, and how the draft is a total. It's a breakdown of false favorites. There's more false favorites than there are actual favorites. So every one of these guys is a favorite, and the reality is that, like, the scouts know a lot of these guys just can't play at all. And that's why the Les Sneads of the world sometimes are like, fuck them picks. You know what I mean? Let's get rid of them picks and let's just try to, but ultimately you gotta find your way in the draft. Let's hit it one last thing before we jet here. And that is, I want to show you Matt Miller's mock draft. And
I got it up.
You got it up? I'm going to share the screen. People can check it out real quick, just so I'm going to put this up so you can take a look. This is just round 7, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, round 7. Okay, so this is the 7th round, and I'm just looking at some of the players I really love that are in this round. Fabechi Weewu from Oklahoma, pick 219. Love that player. Caleb Proctor, the defensive tackle from Southeast Louisiana State, 224 to the Steelers. Love him. Zane Durant at 290 pounds ran 4.75, and they have him going 226th overall.
Yeah.
Even Fano's brother, who at Utah is a really high effort outside rusher. Caden Weegan from Iowa, I think, is kind of an interesting do-it-all return guy.
Big time.
I love RJ Maryland, the tight end from SMU. He's right there. And there's others. I mean, Red Murdoch had 17 forced fumbles. Isaiah World is in the 7th round.
Mm-hmm.
In the 7th round. James Thompson from Illinois is a big-time defensive tackle prospect. He's in the 7th round. J.C. Davis from McClymonds, who's 6'6", 335 pounds, is picked 242. That's an unbelievable steal. Armaj Reed Adams is a big road grader at guard. He's deep 7th round. Yep. Now, this is the back of the 7th round. Devin Eastern from Minnesota, I think, is a really good defensive tackle. This Tanner Kazoil from Houston, the tight end, is big, tall tight end, very talented.
Senior Bowl.
Great Senior Bowl. Coogan was the MVP of the Rose Bowl.
Coogan. Yeah, but it's understandable. Coogan's got a big old dumper. I can see why he'll be a...
Yeah, and he's not a great athlete. He's not a great athlete. But, I mean, Caleb Elam-Zor is a Bay Area kid from Hayward. He's a very fast linebacker from TCU.
Jake likes him a lot.
And you've got him at pick 255. All I'm saying is, man, I mean, there's some really good 7th round picks here. I mean, if I could get Zane Durant, Caleb Proctor, and Fabechi Weewu all in the 7th round, I think that might be the greatest 7th round of all time. I mean, that's an amazing 7th round. My point is, this is all guesswork. Who knows where these guys are going to go? But I just, this whole like, oh, this draft sucks and there's no depth, bullshit.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just a bunch of crap.
Well,
there's
you
at
look
least 7 or 8 really exciting players in the 7th round.
Yeah, because he doesn't put them in rounds 5 and 6 where they'll actually go, and he puts in a bunch of guys who aren't any good in 5 and 6. So 7th round looks good. I mean, like I'm not alleging anything, but if I were putting together a mock draft, as I have been known to do for a 7 round before, people don't look at 5 and 6, but they do look at 7. Just say it.
It's pretty interesting though. That's a lot of good players in the 7th round.
I agree, and I think that they're going to go a lot earlier than that. And I think a lot of the guys who are going to be here as a lot earlier are not going to even get drafted.
And now let me just take a quick peek, because you just said they pulled him out of the 6th round. This is the 6th round. Let me see what the 6th round looks like. And I haven't looked at this yet.
That's exactly right. Everyone goes.
Nadeem Tucker, he's not bad. Marlon Klein, tight end from Michigan, he's not bad. Brailsford, the center from Alabama, ran the best 10-yard split. Very fast.
He doesn't weigh anything, and he's got no anchor.
Okay. Fernando Carmona's got quite an anchor.
He absolutely
Emil Wagner, Tyreek Sapp. Those aren't bad players.
I'm not arguing that they're bad players. I'm saying that these are the 7th rounders.
Yeah. Heidenreich right there. Faison from South Carolina is a pretty good back. Bo Stevens, pretty good player. Markel Bell, the gigantic. Landon Robinson right here in the 6th round. That's a pretty good player. So, I mean, there's decent
I'm not sure Eli Heinrich's getting drafted. I don't think C.J. Daniels is getting drafted.
Yeah,
Lander Barton from Utah's probably not getting drafted. Like, I like Markel Bell a lot. There's a reason that everyone agrees he's a 200 pick. Colin Wright from Stanford. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think
I think
he's
there's some
athletic
gamesmanship
enough.
involved. I mean, Dante Corleone. You think he's going at 178? Like, he put up some good numbers, don't get me wrong, but like, you can't overlook some stuff here.
This is the 5th round. Okay, let me see who's
Yeah.
in their 5th round.
Tim Keenan's
Joshua
barely
Josephs,
draftable.
Bryce Betcher, Bo Kircher from A&M is a very good blocker. Chandler Rivers is a good
Talking
corner.
about a blocking tight end at 144.
Yeah.
Now, Chandler Rivers at 144 would be a hell of a pick for anybody, as would Rayshon Benny. Like,
yeah. I mean,
Talon Green
your
could
guy,
also
Kevin
easily
Coleman.
go undrafted because he's not playing quarterback at the NFL level.
Look at Kevin Coleman sitting there at 149.
That'd be a nice pickup.
That'd be
But he could
really
also
nice
be a
pick.
7th rounder.
Jamari Taylor at 157. Dalen Everett in the 6th round. He's
Sure.
not bad.
Yeah.
Grayson Halton. A lot of people like Grayson Halton from Oklahoma. I don't know.
Grayson Halton's a pushover, but that's fine. You can like him.
Caden Curry, Jam Miller. There's Jam Miller right there.
There's Jam Miller, who, again, 7th round possibility. Like
good
Max
blocker.
Llewellyn, who's an effort edge and nothing more. Dante Corleone, Cade freaking Klubnik.
I'm just saying, you know,
Some
if
gamesmanship here.
If you can, and let me see that. This is the 4th round. Let me just double check who's in the 4th round.
4th round actually checks out okay. That does seem like a proper 4th round.
Does it?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Danny Dennis Sutton and Justin Jolly and Delp and Anise Cooper. Like, these are 4th round guys. LT Overton, 4th round guy. Genesis Smith, 4th round guy. Yeah, 4th round.
Keegan Trost. There's your guy Trost.
Yeah, like 4th round lines up.
Oscar
DeMonte
Delp.
Capehart, who should go higher but won't. There's your pain in the ass Jacoby Lane. Like, yeah.
This is the round the Niners have all the picks.
And this is the round where we really get into
Sutton.
the edge of draftable.
Who do you see in this round that's intriguing to you?
Jalen Farmer, the guard from Kentucky, is intriguing to me.
like
Big
him
time
too.
intrigue there. It's a boom bust possibility. I'm a big fan of Delp. I like him a lot. Genesis Smith from Arizona is interesting. I'm not sure I'm in. Romello Height would be a really nice pickup for the Niners. He's at 117 here. I think he could be a good sub-package pass rusher who's got a little bit more, a little Leonard Floyd in his game. Chris McClellan, the defensive end from my Tigers, is a much better player than he gets credit for in this process.
What kind of player is McClellan? I mean, I know he's got long arms. He's 315 pounds. He's pretty athletic.
Yeah, it's the athleticism. I don't think that he was constantly playing 1 tech. I think he's more of a 3 tech, and I think if you put him at 3 tech, the pop off the line is really going to show. But he was so often tasked with 2 gapping, even in a 4, an even man front. Like, he kind of had to do a gap and a half too a lot, and he did a good job at that. But they had such great defensive ends that he had to kind of clog instead of penetrate. I think he'd actually be a really nice pickup for the Niners. But these 4th rounders make sense to me. Like, I'm not a big Joe Royer fan out of Cincinnati, but certainly he'll have his backers. Jake Slaughter is a divisive player in and of himself, but he'll have his backers. Eli Raridan, same thing. He'll have his backers. Like, these guys make sense as 4th rounders. And it's not to say that you can't get a good round of draftable players out of 5, 6, and 7. It's just that he seems to be overloaded with them in the 7th as opposed to the 5th and 6th, which makes sense when you know how people read these things.
Who is, last one for you, who is a player that right now you're really, maybe you're late to the party on this guy, but you're really, the more you're watching him recently, you're like, hey man, I'm really kind of fired up about this player that I've only been watching for a short amount of time.
On the short amount of time.
Or just somebody that you're hot to trot on right now as we get kind of late here in the draft process. Like for me, I'm the more I watched this Derek Moore from Michigan, the more I realized I should have watched more of him early in the year. This guy is really, really what you're looking for. I mean, it's just, he's got the production, he's got the body lean. He had one of the most ridiculous reps on Markel Bell I think I've ever seen. He just ran him right over at the Senior Bowl. And just, I mean, it was awesome. I mean, it was really awesome to watch. So I kind of like Derek Moore. I know that's kind of a forgettable name.
No.
And if you look at him, you're 6'4", 260. You know what? I just think this guy comes burning off the edge. I love the combination of the hand usage, the power, the attitude, the anger. There's a lot to like there. And I would go big defensive lineman maybe in round 1 and come back with Derek Moore in round 2, or maybe I go with the best player available in round 1, come back with Derek Moore in round 2. But I like him as kind of a late second round edge rusher for them.
I like both of the Auburn guys on the defensive end line a lot.
Keon Crawford.
Keldrick
Falk.
I'm a big Falk guy. I'm kind of obsessed with the Inacher tape right now, which is a waste of everybody's time because I think I'm higher on him than damn near anybody. I think the tape is so much better than he gets credit for.
He's really good. I mean, and if Chris Forster is that great of a coach,
like it should be a layup, right?
This guy should be the next great tackle in the NFL.
That's where I'm at. I'll give you 3 names of guys that I'm late on, but I'm high on. VJ Payne, the Kansas State safety.
Big, tall safety, I mean.
He's impressive. Cage Casey, someone I really liked at the Senior Bowl, the tackle out of Boise State. I think he's solid. I'll also toss in the Northwestern kid. I think I'm higher on the Northwestern tackle than most.
Caleb Tiernan.
Yeah, I think it's just solid. And in this class, that's going to probably get him a second round draft pick. In other years, it'd be a 4th or a 5th, but in this one, yeah. And then this one, I cannot believe how much Garrett Nussmeier I've been watching.
He looks great right now.
I don't know why he didn't. I mean,
he was terrible. I literally
season.
saw him against Florida live, and they were horrible. And they've got 3. Heck, they may have 4 draftable receivers. Actually, 5 if you want to consider Bauer Sharp. So I mean, they have a ton of players. I don't know what the hell happened there this year. They were horrible, but this guy looks like he should go he could be an NFL starting quarterback.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out who he reminds me of because he moves okay in the pocket and he delivers a damn good strike. He kind of throws it blind a lot. I just cannot figure out who he reminds me of at all. And maybe that's why I keep watching, but there's clearly, if we're talking day 2 pick, like, I don't know if you could possibly get more value out of a day 2 pick than taking Nussmeier. And I think that the Niners should be really worried because I don't think they're going to take him, that he ends up on any of the 3 teams in their division. Because if the Rams get him, he's going to be coached up well. I wouldn't exclude the Seahawks from taking him. And that's a dangerous game because even though Darnold won the Super Bowl and is young and all that, it's Sam Darnold. We're here for a good time, not for a long time. And then Arizona, he could be their bridge to competency, which I don't think is coming anytime soon. But, if it were to happen, it'd be because they nailed their quarterback in the 2nd or the 3rd round in the same way that the Niners maintain their competency by lucking into Brock Purdy in the 7th. So, I can't stop thinking about Nussmeier. But VJ Payne is a hell of a player. And there's just not a lot of players in this draft that kind of make me feel some sort of way. VJ Payne's got me feeling some sort of way.
What do you like about him? I mean, what does he do?
It's just the movement skills and the ability to pop. The movement skills are there. It's functional movement where he's decisive in his actions. He clearly is all over the playbook. When he's guessing right. He's everywhere. He's a ghost. He's a specter. And when he arrives, he is not missed. When he hits, he hits. Ball skills are a little bit questionable, but that is a special kind of safety in this modern game. Everywhere and delivers contact in a serious manner.
I'll tell you, a player that, it's like, if you really like a player and you should know like within seconds. I mean, almost you should be, you should know
like
right
a love
away.
At first sight thing, legitimately.
And for me, I got a guy in this draft that I just absolutely love, and I saw him, and I'm like, I didn't even I wasn't even watching him. I just saw him and I'm like, wait a second, who's that guy?
Yeah.
Look at that guy. What the heck am I watching there? And here's Greg Cosell centering on the same player. Here is what Cosell says about my guy, Ted Hurst.
But there's a receiver whose tape I really, really like. And it's funny, I texted with a good friend of mine after I watched this guy, and I said to him, and I texted him and said, why is this guy not as good as Jordan Tyson? And that receiver is Ted Hurst from Georgia State. I really like this kid on tape. Now, obviously, played at Georgia State. It's not a Power 4 school. They were terrible this season. I think he's one of the most intriguing wide receiver prospects in this class. Size, speed, stride length. That's his profile. Obviously, there'll be questions about the level of competition, but you're talking about a long, dynamic receiver. He was a weapon at all three levels of the defense. Look, what I always say about players like this, if he showed the same traits profile with this kind of production in a Power 4 conference, Ross, we'd be talking about him as a first-round pick without question. I thought he worked the middle of the field at the short intermediate levels. He caught a ton of dig routes, had a few too many drops. That needs to be cleaned up. But he also had plays where he caught the ball very easily on the move, seamlessly transitioning to run after catch. This guy, to me, has the size and length and traits profile to develop into a boundary X at the next level. I was fascinated by Ted Hurst from Georgia State.
Yeah, I see T. Higgins.
Oh, that's actually a good comp.
Big, rangy, tall, but really good route runner.
Yeah,
quick really in and out of the break, but also with real crazy confidence at the catch point. Like it ain't going to you, bro. It's going to me. You know what I mean? It's like Ted Hurst has that kind of vibe where it's like he just looks like he just expects the ball to come to him. And he's bigger than a lot of these other receivers, and there's separation ability, and there's hands, and there's swagger. You take out one word, and this guy's going in the second round. State. You put this guy for the Dogs, and he's going in round 2. And instead, he's at Georgia State, and he's going to be there probably in round 3. But if I were the 49ers, I think I would try to trade back in round 2 and see if I could grab this kid.
I buy it. I'm more of a Brazel guy, but Hurst is a hell of a player. I think Brazel is maybe the second best receiver in this class behind.
A lot of people like Brazel. Yeah,
he's
big receiver,
special movement ability, special.
Yeah, no question. All right, let's hit our supers here, and we'll bolt. We got this one from
Mass-Dog Lewis.
Oh, Mass-Dog Lewis. Okay, Mass-Dog Lewis. Seems like Lynch moves up a lot. If they do move up from 58, who do you think they take, or any other moves up in the draft? Watch every stream. Love it. Oh, thank you, man. Appreciate you guys. I think it's a move down. I think when you don't pick after the 4th round, I think you conquer that by moving down a few spots, even if it's a nominal move down. I would move down in 1 and in 2, as long as just, I'm not going to move down until I'm on the clock. Because if the Penn State guard fell to me, something crazy happened, I would take him. But otherwise, I think my ideal plan is what Dieter said, is like, if you could trade from 27 into the top of round 2, let somebody come up for Ty Simpson's 5th-year option, you fall down to 33, 34, and maybe pick up an extra pick in the top 100 for your effort. I think that's what I would try to do.
I'm with you on that. If they were to trade up from 58, which is possible, it would be for a defensive end. It would be for a pass rushing defensive end, a sub package guy. I think it would be for Zion Young. But there's an argument
who is really an awesome player. I mean, what is the glitch? He's 6'5", 6'6". He's 262 pounds, 6.5 sacks.
Just a little stiff.
How concerned are you about the off-field issues?
Concerned enough that you can't consider taking him in the first round. Not concerned because it's not just the off-field stuff. It's the way that he also plays. He's good for He's good for personal foul penalties in every game. There was not a game this year where Zion Young didn't do something straight up boneheaded. And it's the nice way of putting it is that the motor just runs so hot, sometimes the car overheats. And that is his best attribute, and it's also his biggest detriment. He is a madman on the field, and apparently he can't exactly turn it off the field. But drunk driving in Columbia, Missouri, I've never done it, but not exactly out of the norm, much apparently as speeding is at Georgia. It's dumb, it's stupid. You're making money now, but dumb and stupid and college kids seem to go hand in hand. I'm not excusing it. I'm just saying that when it comes to the pantheon of off-field stuff, there is rankings. And then I'd just be more concerned. I mean, I think honestly the reason that, even though I hear a lot of buzz about him to the Bears at 25, I think that the reason for concern is that he isn't consistent and that he has the ability to just take over series in a really incredible way, which is basically him just frothing at the mouth and saying this series is done. And then 3 pressures and 2 sacks later, this series is in fact done. But that is not always there. And he often goes through motions, and he is not someone with elite bend, even though he is a really good pass rusher. And so there's questions about how that's going to perform against very high-end tackles at the NFL level. Not to say that all tackles in the NFL are high level, just to say that you do run up against some guys who actually know what the hell they're doing when you get to the pros, and that is obviously a lot less common at the college level. He is the definitive 50th pick in the draft, where it could work out beautifully, and it could work out disastrously, and in equal parts in both measure, and no one could be faulted for just taking him 50th. Like, that's just the perfect spot to take him. So if the Niners were to trade up, I think 58 to 50, and instead of a Malachi Lawrence or our Mason Thomas, who are never going to be anything more than sub-package rushers, Zion Young does get, or a TJ Parker, who I do think the Niners like. I don't get it at all. I don't know what it is you do here, but I think Zion Young has the highest ceiling of all of them. He also is the one who, might not make it off his first contract. So that sounds like a 50th pick to me.
It's a real odd year, right? I like Bain, and I like
Bain's
Bailey. Good. Bain's good, but I mean, like Keldrick Falk, very impressive physically, and he's very young. He had 2 sacks.
He had 7 the year before that, and they asked him to play a lot of one technique in a tight front, or even zero technique in a tight front last year because they didn't have dudes. Also, DJ Durkin, Auburn's defensive coordinator last year, should be tried for war crimes at The Hague. I've watched like 8 Auburn football games last year, and I'm considering getting a plane ticket to Montgomery, Alabama, finding DJ Durkin and strangling him. Goddamn.
There's other guys here. I mean, Mesidor's older, but he had 12 and a half sacks.
Mesidor in the second round is an awesome play.
He's ready to play. He's ready to go.
I do not think he's going to be there for the 49ers.
I don't think so. I'm not a TJ Parker guy. I do like Cassius Howell. I like Zion Young. Our Mason Thomas, I think he just gets engulfed too easily.
What is it you would say you do here?
Yeah, he's just, to me, he's a great college player. A dominant college player.
I love hearing from people being like, oh, well, he had all these run stops. I'm like, okay, so did you watch Oklahoma? Like, I've watched a lot of Oklahoma. You know what Oklahoma has? They have an unbelievable defensive coaching staff.
It's a great.
And you know what happens?
Venables and those guys.
Our Mason Thomas is standing in. They do these stunts. They're always stunting. And our Mason Thomas is out here beating nobody and having running backs run directly into his chest because they didn't expect anyone to be there. That they're all Venables stats. Every play is a Venables stat. Find me a one-on-one where this guy beats his dude. He has a great first step. I'll give him that. Beats his dude off the line, beats him with a move, and gets to the quarterback. Just straight up. Find me one. I can't find it. What is it you do here? Same thing with Cassius Howell. He's got that hump move. That shit ain't going to apply at the NFL level when you're that size. If you weighed 30 pounds more and we're 4 inches taller, you can hump move all you want. You could be Reggie White, but you're not. So what is it you do here? It's the same issue I had with the Texas A&M pass rusher last year, went in the first round, Shamar Stewart. Like, what do you do? You got a great first step off the line. That's great. That matters. It really does. You have to have something more than that if we want to talk about you being on the field on first and second down. And there's just a lot of guys who are never going to be more than sub-package pass rushers, which, by the way, the Niners need, but isn't what you should be wasting a top 60 pick on, because I can find you a sub-package pass rusher in the 5th round any year. Doesn't matter, because you only need him for 1 down. Just find a guy who can jump off the line, and so long as no one touches him, can sack a quarterback. Like, that's the easy part.
It's an interesting group. I mean, Malachi Lawrence, Gabe Yakus, Derek Moore, Danny Dennis Sutton, Romello Height.
Danny Sutton is soft. Yakus can play.
I like Danny Dennis Sutton. I know he played in a 2-point stance, but I mean, this guy.
I don't care about the two. I love 2-point stances.
Rangy.
He's rangy because he can't go it forward. There's a player there. He goes, oh, no, I can't go there.
He had 8.5 sacks, 3 forced fumbles. He's been pretty good in that system for a few years now. I mean, I'll say this. He is a legitimate 6'6", 270. I mean, I like him. I think his workout numbers. I like Derek Moore most, but I like Danny Dennis Sutton. I like Romello Height too, but he's very skinny. And
I like Height in like on day 3, like
5-man fronts exclusively.
Yeah. I can tell you, I don't know Raheem Morris personally. If I know anything about Raheem Morris and how he goes about his business, he's gonna like Romello Height because he's gonna see a lot of Leonard Floyd there, and he won't be wrong. By the way. That's not to say Leonard Floyd is an awesome player, but Leonard Floyd spent a lot of time. He spent a lot of time with Raheem Morris for a reason. There's a certain thing he's looking for. So Romello Height being a Niner feels likely.
Yeah, seriously. When you see the Niners are interested in Romello Height and you know that they have Raheem Morris and you know how much Raheem Morris loved Leonard Floyd, and you look at Leonard Floyd's body, you sit there and go, wait a second. He sees Leonard Floyd most likely in this kid.
I get it.
All right. We got that one.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's get this one from Michael. Max Ionacher is a nasty run blocker. Why not him at 27?
I don't think he's going to be available at 27. I think that everybody's onto him by now. And they're not, it's difficult to make the argument that they should take a true tackle. And Ionacher is a true tackle at 27 because you're about to extend Trent Williams. So when the hell's he going to play? By the time he's in his 3rd year at the earliest. So that'd be bold, but he's a really good player. He's going to make someone very, very happy.
I mean, if you can find the right tackle, or not the right, but the correct tackle, that for your system down the road, and you can play him at guard, that's great. But I'd be very careful doing that. We have Brad Jones. It sounds like they really are in a rock and a hard place with 27, going to get criticized whoever they take. What type of trade would you guys take to just get out of 27? I don't see any kind of problem with 27. I don't think they're in between a rock and a hard place at 27 at all. I think they're actually sitting I think they're sitting in a good spot. I really do. I think that's a good spot to be in this draft. Why? Because you got a few spots before the end that if somebody wants a quarterback, they can trade up for that 5th-year option. I also all the mocks that I'm looking at, the 49ers are looking at an assortment of players at the positions that they want. Right there. I mean, offensive tackle, I think, is going to be a little bit of a stretch, but is Ionacher, is Blake Miller, Tiernan, are those guys going to be there? My guess is Dieter's right. I think there'll be a run on tackles, and those guys will probably all go earlier. So I don't know that those guys will be there, but I do expect there to be a lot of good defensive linemen, a lot of good edge rushers, a lot of good DBs, maybe a couple good linebackers. What's your take on CJ Allen versus Jacob Rodriguez? Do you like CJ Allen? Do you like Jacob Rodriguez?
Absolutely Allen on that one. I think Rodriguez is fine. I'm a Hill man through and through. Texas.
Anthony Hill. Brad Jones says also apparently Dolphins are the Mexico City game. Okay.
Cool. I mean, equal travel for both, I suppose.
Would you rather go to Mexico City or Australia?
Does the travel count in where I would rather go? Like, does the act of having to get there, do I have to qualify?
Yes, that has.
Yeah, I'd
that's
much
part
rather
of
go
it.
to Mexico City. That's like a 4-hour flight.
Yeah.
Your boy, my 6'9", 300-pound frame can't do 18 hours in the air unless you're giving me them lie flats. And
Oh
even
my
then,
God.
I'd still probably break.
Oh my God.
I get dehydrated easy.
Gale alum says, why couldn't Nick Martin play a similar role to Nick Emanwari? Well, first of all, we're going to find out more about Nick Martin and what his role was. Nick Martin was cleared from concussion protocol immediately, I guess, after the season ended. What is your read, Dieter? You're not a Nick Martin fan. Are you a believer that Nick Martin's disappointing rookie year is just a precursor of what we're going to see and that he's going to be a bust? Or do you think he rebounds in year 2 and salvages a career? Because right now he has no career.
I do not think that he will do it, but I'll tell you this. I'll be kind. Here's where it starts. He has no reason not to be an elite special teamer if he's got football skill in him. He's the perfect size to be a great special teamer.
He's fast.
He should have the temperament to be a great special teamer if he wants to play weak side linebacker in the NFL. Go out there and be a great special teamer and make yourself a career that way. And then from there, we can build. But I was a hawk on this because I'm looking for confirmation bias. He sucked on special teams. Now, he's a rookie. He's getting thrown in there. Everyone can get better, including me. But why can't he be Nick Emanwari? Because he's not as good as Nick Emanwari. Because he's a linebacker who might weigh the same as Emanwari, but has a modicum of the athletic ability of a Nick Emanwari. It never made sense to me at 75. I didn't have a draftable grade on him. But I'll just say this. Because again, I don't wish ill upon the young man. He can make it a career and make me eat my words. I don't think he's ever going to start in the NFL. I don't think he's ever going to be a factor from scrimmage. But he could be a great special teamer, and that's a hell of a career. You can make millions of dollars that way. But I do think that the 49ers front office should call up the Tennessee Titans and be like, can you take this guy that you wanted, Bob, that you pounded the table for and said, we got to get him now? Can you just take him with you and throw us the equivalent draft pick? You left your trash on your desk when you left. Now you got to pay for the cleanup fee. Take Nick Martin with you. None of us wanted him. You were the one who said, I have to have control of the draft board. I got to be able to pick my guys. And then you left him here, and we got no use for him. Thank you for Upton. Thank you for Michael. Thank you even for the big fella, Alf. Thank you for all those guys. We could do without Martin. What can you do to make this right? That's what they should have done. And it's interesting, by the way, that Tennessee, who's apparently willing to take on anybody at any price right now, not making calls about, hey, how can we get that Nick Martin fella?
I'll say it right now. I think Nick Martin will be better for the Niners in 2026 than Dre Greenlaw. We'll see how it goes. I love Dre Greenlaw, but something tells me that Martin's the future and Greenlaw's the past. But we'll see. We'll see.
That's a dull future, my friend.
Riz the Fizz, his day was pretty crappy till y'all popped up. Dietz and Kruger, let's fucking go. Thank
Riz
you,
the Diz.
Brad Jones in the house. It's not bloody 18 hours. Just did the trip. It's only 13 and a half hours.
Yeah, but I have to go through security in America first, so it is 18 hours. Actually, I have all the passes, and I've been trying to get my wife to fucking do it. Jesus
I don't know if I can do that. I don't know if I can go to down under. I have a hard time flying from across country. Seriously, the last hour on the trip to Philly was like, oh my gosh.
I did. First off, what you do is I don't drug myself or anything, but you and I should both have the ability as men who can sit and talk into a camera for like triple this amount of time to just be able to zone out in a way that very few can. You bring one book, you got an iPad with a bunch of movies, and it's just like, just keep delivering me Coke Zeros and we're good. Just zone out. Just completely zone out. I'll tell you, I can do any amount of air travel right now so long as my 1-year-old isn't with me. That's a vacation because I did 10 hours with a 7-month-old who decided mid-flight, oh, I can talk, and just started screaming and thought it was the funniest thing ever in coach. And then we went to, 2 hours from Seattle with a 1-year-old who refuses to sit still. The 3-year-old's there. She's got her little cheese plate and Winnie the Pooh's on the iPad. She's having the time of her life. That seat's huge. She's a queen. The 1-year-old's like, I'm going to kill you all. I got to go. I have to go say hello to every single person on this airplane. I have to just stare at them until they acknowledge me. Luckily, we had good flight attendants. But who were like, we'll just take her. It's like, please. Those were the 2 most agonizing hours I've had in a long time. And if I have to go to Australia, I have to take my family. And the problem is I can't drug the 1-year-old because of something called an adverse reaction. Because the flight to Seattle was so bad a couple weeks ago that we're like, we have to Benadryl her on the way back. Like, we're not good parents, but we have to drug this child so that she sleeps. And her response to that was that she turned into the fucking Hulk and like ripped her shirt off and just lost it. Very nice child. Hates being confined, has to be free, absolutely feral, classic second child. So I'll go anywhere if you can get me away from the 1-year-old. But if I have to go on that flight with the 1-year-old, I'm not landing in Australia alive. She's going to kill us. She's going to kill us, Larry.
When I flew back from Seattle, it's a short flight, but when I flew back from Seattle, and of course Niners lose in the playoffs, so I'm not really in necessarily a great mood. There's I wasn't a 1-year-old. It had to be more like a 2-year-old, probably maybe 1.5-year-old. And he was looking through the seat thing at back at me. And I was like, so I waved a couple times. And then the kid got over the seat, put his head over and put his head on the seat and just stared at me for about a state and a half.
Yep.
I was just like, okay, what?
That's my kid. And then she wiggles and goes, I gotta get out of here. And so then you're like, okay, let's walk the corridor. Let's go walk the corridor.
Oh, no.
And this happens everywhere. She's a true extrovert, Larry. I hate it so much. She's just like, do you see me? Hi. She literally, we have a wonderful restaurant bar that opened up at the end of our block recently. And so we go there just, once a week or whatever. It's just easy and convenient. Has really good food and good beer. It's a total. She just goes from person to person at the bar and just goes, hi. And we'll wait until they acknowledge her. People who have no interest in a child. Hi. Hi. Ah! Hi. Until you acknowledge her. Imagine that for an entire plane of people with the anger that comes if you don't let her do it. And that's why I'm trying to travel anywhere without her right now. And so I don't think I'm going to Australia.
Uh-oh.
I don't think I'm going to Mexico City.
Uh-oh. Well,
I think she's taking me down.
That's going to do it for us. Let me thank our sponsors. We'll bolt for the door. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle. Check them out. Emeryville, Corte Madera, opening in Petaluma in 2026. They're not opening there yet, but they will be opening soon. Thanks to Novato Chevrolet, family owned for over 50 years. Friendly staff, meets all of your expectations. Bay Area's EV headquarters. Novato Chevrolet, fantastic dealership. Go see David. Fantastic sales guy, and he will take care of you. Thank you to Novato Chevrolet. Appreciate Novato Chevrolet. They do a great job. Also, thank you to Habas Law. Habas Law covered pet adoption fees on Saturday at the San Jose Animal Care Center. All day Saturday, every dog, every cat, every animal, they paid for it. People walked in with generous hearts. They left as a family thanks to Habas Law. So way to go, Habas Law. Thank you to the San Jose Animal Care Center. Thank you to Omar and Tara Cabas. 1-800-INJURED. They will fight to make it right. Thanks to Habas Law for being a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. Also, thank you, Alomar Marina, alomarmarina.net. They're at 5999 Garden Highway. They're open Wednesday through Sunday. Try the shrimp tacos. Float while you dine on the Sacramento River. Great spot. Awesome spot. And also thank you, Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles. 205 Cypress Avenue in Pacific Grove along the Monterey Peninsula. The great Anthony Catania's at 831-521-5264. He's also, you can connect with him on Instagram, Sharp Corners 831 on the gram. If you're a Krug Show fan, you get free shipping at Sharp Corners Sports Cards and Collectibles. Dieter, I'll give you the final word before we bolt for the door, but thanks again for streaming. Always good stuff. Tell people if they want to get a hold of you and Jake's draft guide, how is the best way to connect with you and to make sure you get they get your guys' draft guide as quickly as possible?
You got to come on over to the channel. It's the Dieter and Hutch Pod. You become a member, you become an official sicko, and we'll hook you up.
There you go.
It's pretty much as simple as that. Come watch the show. We'll tell you every time you watch the show how you can do it. See if it's to your liking. It's not for everybody. We like it that way. But come on over, hang out with us tomorrow night around this time. Should be a blast.
When you said we'll hook you up, made me think of the Larry David in Curb Your Enthusiasm when he decided he wanted to buy some swag and he wasn't sure how to buy it. And he's like, what, do I pay you first? Do you put it in my pocket first?
It's kind of like that.
It's like,
what do I like that?
I mean, swag. What I mean, is this gonna work? Am I gonna get something out of this? Am I gonna like it?
We've often been compared to the swag of the 49ers YouTube space, and frankly, we just got to ride with it at this point.
There you go. For Dieter, I'm Larry. Have a great night, everybody. Peace.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful.